mostly a university-based program. If you are talking of trials, we do a lot of trials on our own farm. That can last for 6 days, 6 weeks, as the case may be. But R&D, it is highly capital intensive. You may not even get your profit in your lifetime, except if it's government funded. So we are still going to be pushing our government to make sure that they support our university. And I have been working directly with some university. I know they are prepared to do some, but sometimes it is also difficult to some of the research. Somebody mentioned one prof. Now I know her directly. You can't do all these things without money. We were working directly with NAPRI when they were developing their Shika Brown. Sometimes I find it difficult to even feed this chicken. You are doing research and development for 2 days, you have not fed chicken, or ab initio, everything is finished. So it is important we take it up. In PAN, we are doing a lot of things. I will talk about that, on what we are taking government on that. Someone mentioned about the PAN not belonging to Nigeria Agribusiness Group. He's right. But the Nigeria Agribusiness Group have gone into comatose. They just came back. The last commissioner of agriculture, Dr. Manzo, who is my friend, we met, and is now the new DG of Nigeria Agricultural Business Group. I can tell you, we are preparing to take PAN back, and I can tell you, once we get there, we'll participate actively. We'll give them pressure. The federal government announced one of our own, a farmer, Dr. Sarah Lade, as a special advisor to the president on finance. If I were the PAN president, I'll be going to see that woman every day, so that she will be talking to the president on our behalf. She is our own. She knows what we are going through. And I can tell you, I will book an appointment, I will see her, and I will talk to her. She is the owner of Dainty Farm, and she is highly connected. She spent over 35 years in CBN, highly experienced woman, and we are lucky to have one of our own close to the government, and we work with her. So farmers can't determine price at times. Demand and supply determines. By tomorrow, I can tell you, see, I'm giving you a good news. Before the end of this year, or by early next year, a price of crate of egg may hit 1,000 naira. Yes. I'm prophesying like a prophet. It can hit 1,000. Every farmer will smile. We smile. But here we are again. Once you are getting your good price, the price of maize will hit you up. You are gaining there, you are losing there. So that is a challenge. That is a challenge. But let's hope that the price of egg stabilizes, will gain our price. Now, somebody asks about poultry insurance. If PAN should do poultry. Look, poultry insurance, I mentioned it when I was talking about marketing, finance. Insurance is also part of finance. It is a different ball game entirely. PAN cannot insure anyone's feed. For you to even be an insurance company, you must have a license. You must have a license. The NAHIC thing, for people that knows me, I don't like talking to government business because sometimes they delay, they are not serious. We have so many insurance companies that are coming up actively. Leadway Insurance, I'm not marketing for anybody. The government has given all the insurance company to have agricultural decks. So we should tap and maximize their work. Any farmers can go and insure their best and their farm. And I'm also encouraging the PAN to have a legal desk in PAN that we can look at the transaction between you and the insurance company. And if there is any fault line, we will raise it with you. And if you need any claim, the PAN will also take it up by the legal department. But we are not yet there. But right now, all the insurance companies have been mandated to have agri decks. Now, a question came on marketing and finance. Look, marketing is a big thing. We can't discuss it in a day. The marketing is all encompassing. You discuss your price, your positioning, your promotion, especially your promotion. I have said it up to time. If we are not promoting the consumption of egg eating, broilers eating, it will be difficult for people to eat it. Coca-Cola today, as much market they are making, every time you go to anywhere, they are either sponsoring World Cup, they are placing adverts everywhere. We need to harass everybody, the importance of eating egg. Billboard everywhere. That is the only way we can market our product. The finance, but if anyone will go to bank and take any money above 20, around 28%, you are on your own. You can't do poultry. You are on your own because the net profit of poultry is not up to that amount. You have worked for the bank and you may have problem. We are also talking to the government to make sure that farmer gets loan maximum as low as 9%. But the ideal, like our former Minister of Agriculture said, the ideal must be 5%. And that time will come, and it is very close. We are fighting for that too. All this time will come when actually we're begging farmers to buy the DOC at a very good price, very soon. And I can tell you, once we have enough hatchery operators in this country, automatically the price will crash. And already there are some regional places where they are putting hatchery. The price will drop. I remember the first day I bought my landline, Nitel line, we celebrated at 50,000 in 1990. My landline, 50,000. It was a celebration because to get Nitel line at that time, it was a very difficult thing. But now you can get I can buy my MTN SIM, Airtel SIM, Etisalat SIM now and activate my phone because it has been liberalized. Once the actual business operation is open, believe me sincerely, the price will drop. We should be patient with them. But we are also going to be having meetings with them. Last time, the PAN called all the actual operators to Abuja, and we made them realize the fact that they should not put too much pressure on farmers. We should not put too much pressure on farmers, but we will get there. And I can tell you, it is very soon, just around the corner. Somebody that talked, and for those who talk about our breeds, we have the Shika brand, we have the Nola, we have the Funab Alpha. It's a going process. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. And for me, I'm passionate about the fact that we have our local breed on the line, so that side by side, we can even test and try the foreign one and the local one. It takes time. It takes time. But I can tell you, some 10 years ago, getting DO chick in this country is difficult, even when you book. So you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Once we too can get our own local breed among those the one we are importing, it will get better, and the price will definitely come down. PAN is not a magician. All of us seated here, we are automatic member of PAN. Automatic, whether you come for meeting or you don't come for meeting. And whatever you are asking PAN to do, I'm also asking you to do it for us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Those are the answers to the questions. While Dr. Leye was taking answers to the questions, the Vice National President of the Poultry Association of Nigeria and the Chairman of the Poultry Association of Nigeria Southwest came in person of Dr. Hold it now. In person of Dr. Prince Adetoyi Olabode Ezekiel came in. You are welcome, sir.
Great farmer. We want to seize this opportunity to thank you once again. You did excellently well yesterday. Today, I know that you'll be at the top of your game. We are poultry farmer. We are to feed those over 200 million. Whether in 2050 there will be 500 million, we are here for them. God will keep us. God will keep our business. For every hatchery business owner here, please, we are appealing to you. The opportunity is here. Let us go for economic of scale. I know that you can reduce the price from 400 to 150 to 200. Economic of scale is what matter. It is when you are selling to us at that. That is why we can also raise a broiler in 35 days and get a 2 kilo, 3 kilo. Please, what happened yesterday is all over newspaper. People has been calling us, applauding federal government. They are calling us from Abuja that we are doing very well. So let us tell government, let us tell our people that we are up to the task. But when we increase prices astronomically, there's no way that smuggling will not come. We serve our chicken, we serve our egg fresh. And I wish all of you more profitable, more money in your pocket. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to call on Dr. Okpe Agbato to come and dot some of the questions. Dr. Okpe.
Great farmers. Just one of the questions asked was, again, it has been said many times, why are we not using egg products for to host our friends, family, and things like that? In case you missed the presentation, it was on our, Animal Care is into egg processing. You see the colored boiled eggs in our stand. It doesn't have to be powder before you process it. So what we are doing is that we're encouraging snackification of eggs. That's what we're talking about. We're putting eggs into new chains, events, weddings. We have customized eggs. So you have the colored boiled eggs that have a long shelf life. Okay? So, and it peels smoothly. So we are using that one to go away from the conventional raw egg markets, other industries. You know, we started with, business to business restaurants, but now we're using it for events and weddings, customizable gifts. This weekend, we have one of our members, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's using the eggs for one of the family members' burials, as a giftable item. And also, early this year, our PAM president used it for his daughter's wedding, another person used it for his daughter's graduation, and we sent it all over. So our presentation was on egg. We have an associate farmer group. Basically, the eggs we are collecting from farmers. We are buying eggs, Southwest farmers, farmers in the Southwest that can supply. So you supply your eggs, we buy it. We are buying eggs at 840 naira as we speak today. So that's what the presentation was about. It's on the flyer. Talk to us at our Animal Care stand if you are interested in doing that. We have people that are using it to expand their business because they want to preserve their current customers. So you learn more about that. Regarding the egg promotion and egg marketing, we have PAN has been working. Somebody said PAN has not been working. I understand. There's one thing for you to be working and another thing for you to be seen to be working. If you are working all year round and you don't package yourself and you're not on social media and you're not talking, because PAM is a communication and advocacy group. They are working so hard. They got the Society of Family Doctors, the people that have #1 influence on your lifestyle diet, your choice of food, what you are eating. They got them to sign an MOU. But it was not, this is a lot of hard work. They're doing so many things on ground to advocate for the industry. But if I go on, I'm sorry to say, if I go on Facebook and I look for PAN and I see 2016 poultry show flyer, when I'm looking for this, then nobody would think PAN is actually, doing a lot of these things. But they're doing some groundbreaking things. PAN also last year under Mrs. Alawode, Southwest is doing a fantastic job. Let me just tell you. And it's under the leadership of PAN National enabled them to do this. They got even some key political figures. They got them on camera. Interview just like this we set up, and the person is diabetic. Obasanjo, he's diabetic and he eats an egg a day. They recorded him. He did the interview. He talked about the industry, how he eats an egg a day. He's diabetic. He's 83. This is content that we can take and market, and I think we should do more on taking this content and promoting it to the next level, because people have to see PAN as working. This MOU is content. If we go with these doctors, again, this eat an egg a day. The doctors, they are telling us that eat an egg a day, they can talk to us. If you go to the Nigerian Dental Association, you are driving on 3rd Mainland Bridge, you see Sensodyne toothpaste endorsed by the Nigerian Dental Association. You see cooking oil, Mamado, endorsed by, by Nigerian Cardiology. And Society of Family Doctors, we have done the hard work. They have agreed. They want to work with us in endorsing poultry and egg. Now we have to put our money where our mouth is and get them to endorse eat an egg a day, and they'll put their logo, and we'll take it and run with it. So I think that's something that we are really, PAN has done all the hard work. We should take it to the next level, and it will benefit everybody, egg producers and packagers. And we have to do a lot on egg marketing. There's a magazine on our stand. It's called Livestock Aquaculture Watch. One of the things, and Doctor talked about it, Dr. Lay talked about it, the issues affecting the industry. One of it was logistics, and that thing was marketing. The cover page of that magazine says, good roads, good business. In other words, bad roads, bad business. We are talking about the issues on farming and logistics, routes to market. Roads have to be good. Then lastly, the egg marketing and promotion. We talked about it also on the magazine. We talked about how Big Brother Nigeria, you go to Big Brother Nigeria, all the products that were there, whoever watched Big Brother Nigeria, you will see that the products that were there, if you do not pay for marketing, they'll cover your products with tissue paper, or they'll use something to block your product so that it won't show on TV. All the eggs they put there were covered with like cellophane tape. Nobody, you could not even see one brand of egg, but the Pepsi you were talking about was there. Their shirt was Pepsi, their wall of Pepsi, Crunchy Time, all these things that are not quarter as healthy as eggs. They were being promoted, everybody was doing. So we have to put money together to funnel marketing of eggs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okweagbato, for that answers to our challenges in the industry.
Yeah, the question was how long does it take between two batches? In fact, it can go very quickly. And traditionally, people say we have to wait 2 weeks. Let all bacteria die, let it dry. In fact, you clean the farm, you remove the dirt, you clean it with a detergent, then you let it dry. It's very important because we are going to use a disinfectant at a 0.25% dilution. If we apply this low dilution in wet surface, then we dilute it further, then there's no guarantee. So in fact, once it's disinfected and dried, chicks can come. So, for example, in the UK, our customers are cleaning companies. So the farmer will hire a company to remove the dirt, to clean it, to disinfect it, and when it's dry, fresh chicken can come in. So it is just how many workers are there to clean the farm, how long does it take to dry, and that depends on the day, humidity. In winter it might take a little bit longer, but in 2-3 days, fresh batch of chicks can come in. So it can go very quickly. I wanted to have just one comment on pricing here. I think you, and I read also an article, that the future millionaires will be African farmers. Your prices are very, very high. I work in Pakistan. The chicken in the market cost $1 a kilo. The chick farmer gets 75 cents for their chicken. The day-old chicks cost between 13 and 24 cents. So this is the reality. Today, yeah, cents. Today, as a free market principle, you were talking about high prices. Of course, if I want to sell something and the demand is high, I can ask any price. So in a mature market, prices will come down. And in Belgium, the chicken price is at 84 euro cents, which is below, that's what the farmer gets. So at this price, when the price drops to $1 a kilo market price, there will be no more vegetarians. And that's a problem in Africa. There's not enough protein in your diet. There's young child mortality. There is underweight bird don't get enough protein. We need to produce more, and especially more efficiently. But it's coming. It goes very fast, I believe.
Thank you very much. That's the last guest speaker to the fourth segment of our product presentation. Mrs. Alawode, from the chairperson of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, a big round of applause for you as we appreciate the guest speaker of today's program.
Tayo has done the appreciation, the vote of thanks already. Standing on that, I'd like to say a very big thank you. I think our farmers are better informed and better prepared to face the future. Thank you very much, sir. The Lord bless you and increase you.
We want to invite Farm Support Services to come and do their product presentation. And the person that is doing it is Mr. Levington Michael. Mr. Levington Michael is from South Africa, from the company Provimin Kagel. You are welcome for another 20 minutes.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to represent my company, Cargill Animal Nutrition. Thank you for the opportunity to you, the farmers, and to the customers of the companies that are represented here. Thank you for the opportunity you've given me by being here today, and I'm hoping to be able to give you some insight into our company and how we might be able to assist the Nigerian poultry producers. So I'd like to start the conversation today with a quote from a man that some of you may know, Sir Isaac Newton. And Sir Isaac Newton is famously quoted as saying, "If I have seen further than others, it is because I have been standing on the shoulders of giants." I will consider my presentation today as having been a success if I am able to introduce you to a friendly giant who has the Nigerian Poultry Association's interests at heart. Thank you. So Cargill Animal Nutrition is focused on providing nutrition to animals and to farmers because it has an impact on producing better lives for humans and the consumers that use the products that are produced. By way of introduction, my name is Michael Leviton. I obtained my BSc Agric Honours degree in Nutrition and Physiology at the University of Pretoria. I started my career as a technical salesperson, and I've worked for one of the largest poultry producers in South Africa, a company by the name of RCL Foods. We used to produce 4.6 million chicks per week and grow them out to broilers. Some of the interesting aspects of production were that we were able to achieve an average FCR of 1.43, which is something that is only really possible under highly environmentally controlled conditions, and if you've got very good control over your raw materials and your input nutrients. The next thing that I'd like to talk about, and this is actually the heart of my presentation today, because we cannot be all things to all people, and Cargill cannot hope to solve all of the problems that Nigeria is facing in terms of its agricultural production. But what we can do and how we can help you is by partnering with local partners like Farm Support Services to bring you products that are relevant, and those in particular are base mixes and premixes. What I'd like to speak to you about is how to apply them and when to apply them to maximize your value. Just to be clear about what we're talking about, if you consider the full triangle as your whole feed ration, that includes all of the different raw materials that you're using. It includes your maize and your soya, or if you're using groundnut oil cake or cassava, all of that is included there. It then also includes your, if you're working with a concentrate from a company that has provided it to you, and it includes a premix. What is important about all of this is that the idea is to provide a complete feed that is totally nutritionally balanced and reflects the needs of the animal that you're feeding. A concentrate, the purpose of a concentrate and a premix is to provide a blend of products that includes your vitamins and trace minerals, but also focuses on performance enhancing substances like enzymes and mycotoxin binders. This is where we get to the base mix portion. So if you remember this triangle over here, this is sort of the area that we're playing in. And if you move on to the next triangle, it gives you a little bit more of a breakdown. So a base mix is a product that we supply that you include at up to 5% in your total ration. And it may include things like lysine, methionine, and threonine, as well as tryptophan, some of the amino acids that you may be familiar with that your animals need from time to time. Why these are important, if you're working with a base mix, is that it gives you the flexibility to respond to changes in prices. Let me give you a very practical example. If you want to replace a portion of the soybean meal in your feed, and you want to get maximum value out of it, and you're replacing it with groundnut oil cake, one of the major concerns that you have is protein digestibility and mycotoxins. Unfortunately, because of the small-scale way in which groundnut production takes place in Nigeria, there are inconsistencies in terms of the producers and how they actually bring the groundnut cake to market, and as a result, you tend to find some parts of the product that have got high aflatoxin content, and other parts of the product that are lower. What the base mix does is it provides you with a layer of security that makes sure that the mycotoxins are bound, and that your protein digestibility will not affect your bird's needs for lysine, methionine, tryptophan, and threonine. It also includes things like minerals such as salt, monocalcium phosphate, sodium bicarb to address wet litter and your mineral balance, and limestone. It also sometimes includes a mycotoxin binder if it is necessary in your environment, and it may also include things like yeast extracts, although those are often nice to haves and are not necessarily applicable to every single situation. The premix is the smallest amount of material that you can add to your diet, and it basically includes your vitamins and minerals and all of the essentials that you really need to have in your feed to be able to apply. Can you hear me? A premix can be very general or it can be very specific. What I mean by this is that it can include an enzyme like a phytase if you want to maximize your phosphorus utilization, or it can include a protease or even a lipase to make sure that your nutrient delivery to your animals is consistent and clear. What are some of the defining characteristics of Cargill premixes and base mixes is that we apply a very strict quality control to them so that they reach you at the agreed price. So if you look at the bag of premix and you see 10 million international units of vitamin A, we guarantee that the premix will reach you with that concentration of nutrient, and that when you add it to your birds up to 6 months afterwards, your birds will actually still be receiving that. We do this by selecting superior ingredients that have got high bioavailability. We test our vitamins and minerals to ensure that they are stable. We ensure that our mixes have got the best homogeneity and minimize cross-contamination within our processes. And we offer full traceability. So if you ever do have a query or a question that comes through, we will be able to demonstrate these characteristics. Just to add the last few points about the benefits of using a Provimi base mix. The first is that we talk about efficiency. So if you are in a situation where you have to go and buy each of the different raw materials yourself, it adds complexity to your life. It increases the possibility of making mistakes, or if people do not add the materials that you're looking for. So what we do by supplying a base mix is that we reduce time. We help you to save money and resources spent on actually looking for the different raw materials. We give you the best possible price on the international market for those different materials, and we help you to avoid weighing mistakes. The value that you achieve is that apart from things like achieving cost savings and through reduced spillages and that sort of thing, the most important thing for me as an animal scientist is that you guarantee those nutrients to arrive at your birds or your pigs or your ruminants. The quality goes without saying. I'm not going to go into more detail about that. In terms of risk management, you have to manage the risks that are applicable to your industry, and we do this by ensuring that we understand the raw materials that you use. So we analyze them for mycotoxins, for protein digestibility, and for the different risk factors that you experience, and we add the things to our base mixes to ensure that those are minimized. So, for example, we supplement threonine. We make sure that you've got a mycotoxin binder that binds T2 ochratoxin fumonisins, and in some cases we may also include a binder that reduces the effect of DON. And then in terms of the support, if you are a farm support services customer and you are buying Provimi or Cargill base mixes and premixes, you get access to specialists such as myself and the rest of my global colleagues to assist with formulations when you need it most. I see that my time is, I'm 2 minutes over time, Mr. Chairman. Can I continue and finish the presentation? Okay. So I would just like to go through some of the basics of the Cargill nutrition system, if you are okay with that. The important thing about the Cargill nutrition system is that it includes the best elements and food evaluation systems from around the world. Many of you will apply breed standards such as the Ross or the Cobb or some of the Arbor Acres recommendations for your animals. And what I was telling you a little bit earlier about standing on the shoulders of giants, we have done hundreds of trials with all of these different breeds to understand the dose response curves and the nutrient response curves that these animals have, so that we can maximize your return on investment. It is possible for you to get the best world-class research results without necessarily having to go and open a research and development facility here for yourself. It also helps us to use one language across Cargill Animal Nutrition so that we can share, it doesn't matter where you are in the world or where you are in Africa, that we can share the things that we learn and make sure that all of those learnings can be distributed to customers. So NRR allows you to assess raw materials before you actually use them, so that you can make sure that your formulation is accurate and correct. We combine this with a database where we put all of our information together to ensure that we've got the best number of samples and that we can represent what is actually happening in those sample sets. We also include a nutrient library. You were talking about cassava peels a little bit earlier and substituting maize with cassava peels. Certainly, these things are possible, but you need to understand how these raw materials work with one another, and you need to understand the nutrients and the anti-nutritional factors that are existent in those materials before you apply them to your rations. Using the Cargill nutrition system, it helps us to do that, and it helps you to do it in a dynamic and responsible way. How this is applied to your value chain, just very quickly, I'm sure you will all understand how the system works, because you go through the formulation process, through to manufacturing of the animal feed, and then it comes out in the biological performance in your animals, in the form of animal production. We help you to formulate your diets expertly by using formulation systems and software. We are able to help you with things that will improve your manufacturing process, and we can give you an idea of what changes you need to make next for layers, broiler breeders, broilers, and for aquaculture, such as catfish in Nigeria. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your attention, and I hope that you've learned something new about Cargill today. Thank you.
Please join Nogem Nigeria for the next 20 minutes. Nogem.
We as Novus, with our local partner Norgem, we are a supplier of solution and services. We will not be talking about everything today. We have selected some of our solutions that really make sense in our context, and we want to share that with you. We'll talk about enzyme technology mainly today. Move on. So these are the solutions of Novus, that are, in our opinion, very interesting in our context. We have methionine solution, enzyme solution, mineral solution, feed quality solution, and eubiotics. I think we'll talk about eubiotics in another occasion, now that we are talking a lot about antibiotic-free production. Next. In our offer, we have two solutions for you as enzyme. We have a protease enzyme, Cybenza DP100. Here you can see EP150. I'll explain to you, it's exactly the same thing. And then we have Cybenza Phytaverse, which is the new generation phytase enzyme. Next. They can add value, and we'll see how. Next. So we look quickly at enzyme history. Enzyme, when you talk about enzyme, you think about substrate and pH and so other things. We talk about that briefly, then discuss a bit in details our phytase enzyme that we propose to you, our protease enzyme, and then move to a conclusion. The history of enzyme, as you can see, they start looking at enzyme in livestock production to solve some of the challenges, and because of the price of inorganic fossils. Because of the high cost of soybean meal, the protease enzyme was also considered, and then because of the anti-nutritional factors. And today, because of the AGP-free, all enzymes are also considered as part of the solution to go for an AGP-free production. So when you talk about enzyme, you look at substrate, pH, temperature, time, and the state in the solution, the state both of your enzyme and the substrate. So these are the different substrates. For protease, you have obviously protein. They'll produce peptide and amino acid. For amylase, you have starch that will glucose and other oligomers. For xylanase and glucanase, you have fiber, NSP, that will deliver monomers and oligomers of different sugars. We'll not talk about this in detail today. And then for phytase, you have phytate that will produce phosphate and inositol phosphate. Next. And talking about phytate content by ingredient, you can see here the total phosphorus in your different raw material and the phosphorus contained in phytate form. You can see that phytate is a form in plant to store phosphorus. And vertebrate naturally doesn't have phytase. So if you don't use a phytase enzyme, they cannot take advantage of this. Next one. And for protease, you can see here the natural digestibility of this substrate that you can use. You still have a potential of improving it by using your protease. And this is important not only to improve amino acid digestibility, but also gut health. Because these parts that are not digested, they will go and feed back bacteria and change and potentially create problems for birds. But if you use a protease, you reduce this, and then you reduce the risk of feeding these bad bacteria and creating problems for your bird. Next. You have the issue of anti-nutritional factor, especially the trypsin inhibitor. You know, trypsin is a protein and an enzyme that is involved in protein digestibility. So if you have an inhibitor of that trypsin, you limit the digestibility of your protein. These are natural species of soybean, and you can see that the content of these in trypsin inhibitors varies a lot. So if you apply same treatment method, you end up having probably also different level of trypsin inhibitor remaining in your soybean meal, and they can create, as we said, issue. In terms of soy content, you see here we mentioned phytate with phosphorus. Usually it's not high in the substrate we are using. The non-digestible proteins, they are very high because there's a lot of protein and a lot of undigested protein in our formula usually. You have mannans and then you have xylans. So you can see why these different enzymes can be used or not used depending on what kind of raw material you are using. The phytate is part of, as we said, the anti-nutritional factor because they bind nutrients. They bind nutrients, minerals, vitamins, proteins, and so on. Then the NSPs impact the viscosity because we mentioned it's mainly fibers. So depending on if you are digesting them well or not, you can modulate the viscosity of the feed. And then you have what we call structural protein resistant to the digestion, which will not be digested normally by animal, that can feed bad bacteria. And the trypsin inhibitor factor that bind the trypsin, we mentioned it, and will limit your protein digestibility and can create also gut problem. So in practical use, enzymes are used for the energy value, to gain energy value. For the protease, you have amino acid and then the energy that you can gain, and this can impact your return on investment. And for phytase, as we said, the interesting thing is that you reduce impact of the phytate, then improving your nutrition, and you also gain phosphorus from the phytate, and you save some energy and have less mucin, because when you have anti-nutritional factor, the animal try to deal with that and they produce mucin to eliminate this anti-nutritional factor. So by avoiding that, you avoid the bird to spend that energy in producing the mucin. You have the same principle applying for NPAs. And for protease like Cybenza DP100 or EP150, you have the degradation of protein that will free more amino acid. You have more digestible amino acid available. You have extra energy for the birds. You can expect to have up to 35-40 kilocalories coming from your protease. Next. In terms of phytase activity, you can see the pH is critical. And then you see the pH varies along the gastrointestinal tract of the animal. So if your phytase is not in activity in certain pH, you might not have high activity, or you might not have enough activity to justify the usage of your phytase. And same for the protease and the NSPs. Next. This is just to confirm what we just discussed. In principle, this is where your phytase is supposed to be acting according to the pH as we discussed, and then your protease in the lower gastrointestinal tract to digest those proteins that were not digested naturally. And your phytase, this is a phytate molecule. You can see that the minerals are bound, the proteins and other are also bound, but with your good phytase, you can degrade this and have your phosphorus and the mineral free. And with the protease, you digest the protein to get the amino acids. Next. So in general, you have what we call direct effect and indirect effect. For the protease, for example, the direct effect is free amino acids that you have and energy that come from the structural protein that has been hydrolyzed. For the phytase, you have phosphorus that come from the phytate. And then you have indirect effects that are not directly linked to the enzyme. Like we mentioned, the saving from physiological mechanism, the training and energy for lower production, actually, which are coming from the mucin that you can avoid being produced. But this is not direct. It's difficult to quantify exactly what kind of energy is coming from that or what kind of gain is coming from that. That's one is indirect. And you have to have that in mind. And then the reaction of anti-nutritional factor with phytate, for example, and other issues like viscosity health is difficult to quantify and measure. Next one. Let's talk a little about the phytase. We already this. That's the phytate molecule, and this is one is digested. You have the phytic acid plus the phosphorus and the minerals that were bound that are free now. Next. This is important to understand the principle of using phytase in the feed. In a situation where you are not using phytase, you have your phosphorus from phytate and your phosphorus from other sources in your raw material. Then you add the inorganic phosphorus, MCP, DCP, and others. At the end, what is a part of this inorganic supplement and part of the other source of phosphorus that are naturally present in the plant. But because the bird, they don't have phytase, all the phosphorus contained in the phytase will be waste, throw in the nature. They cannot use it. By using the phytase, you help the bird to take advantage of this phosphorus from the phytate, and then you can reduce the use of inorganic phosphorus. And at the end, you have same level of retention and less phosphorus excrete as waste in the nature. So this is where the benefit of using your phytase is coming from. We quickly look at this, also showing, you see here, at increasing concentration of your available phosphorus, you can improve the body weight. Here, on your negative control, adding 500 FTU of phytase, which is cybenzaphytase here, you actually get a better performance in terms of body weight gain. Same if you are using another kind of phytase, you get also an improvement, though not as good as the one you get with our phytase. Next. Next, please. Same observation here concerning FCR. You see that at 500 FTU of phytase, you get an improvement of the FCR compared to the negative control. And obviously, the type of phytase you are using is important. Next one. Next. Go on. Next. Yes. Next. No, come on. Here is showing that at lower concentration of your phytic acid or your phytate, our phytase is very active already. The difference of activity with other phytase is very high, and it's important to have that level of activity with low concentration. Remember, we said phytate usually is in small quantity in the substrate you are using, corn, soybean meal. So by using our phytase, you make sure even with that lower concentration, you can take advantage of the phosphorus that the phytate contains. This is the matrix we are suggesting at different concentration. What I'll tell you in terms of usage is, in the trend today with phytase is to go superdosing. Superdosing means above the 500 FTU. In most of the case, that's what is done, both for broiler and for layer. Now I can explain to you why I was saying DP100, Cybenza DP100 is the same as EP150. We got last year the registration of this product in Europe, and because it's made from bacteria, and in our production we maintain the bacterial spore in the product, and they can act as probiotics. So it's registered at EP15 with the spore of Bacillus licheniformis at a concentration of 110 times 9 CFUs. So actually you are getting at the same time your enzyme, but also the probiotics in the same product. Next one. So this is just to explain how the protease acts by digesting the proteins. Next. This is key to understand, as we discussed already, in terms of digestibility. Why using a protease? The protease is necessary because you improve the amino acid digestibility on this raw material, and also reduce the undigested protein that can create problem with your gut health. Next. Yeah, so this kind of summarize for us. Your protease improve the protein digestibility, reduce the anti-nutritional factor. Remember, they will digest, for example, the trypsin inhibitor, because the trypsin inhibitor impact the digestibility. You have then more amino acid available. You have less undigested protein in the gut. And because you have improvement of amino acid digestibility, you can lower the cost of your feed because you can reduce the amount of protein you are using, and improve also the usage of those protein. And in the other hand, because you reduce the undigested protein, you improve the performance, because the gut health, usually if the birds have a problem, they will spend energy and nutrient to fix that problem. So by avoiding the problem, you're actually having them to have a better performance. And then you have the bacterial spore that I mentioned that will help in gut health, the intestine integrity, the immunity, the digestion, by improving the quality, and you have less emission of ammonia because you have less protein going in the waste. So this is an example of usage of our protease. At an incorporation of 250 grams per ton of feed, you can save on metabolizing energy, crop protein, and digestible amino acid. By using the enzyme Cybenza DP100, which is a protease, you can save 3%. It means You save 0.60% on crude protein, approx 26 kilocalorie of energy, and then on the other enzyme. And if you look at that, this is marginally what you can save, approximately 12 euro per ton of feed, meaning some money that you keep in your pocket by using this. I think we discussed something like this already, but come back. Here we are showing the interest of using the two enzymes at the same time, the protease and the phytase. You really have improvement using the two enzymes than using only one. Here we have the case with 500 FTU and 1000 FTU of phytase, which is a super dosing. And you can see the cumulative impact is high. Using at 250 and using at 500 you will not necessarily have the double effect. You have an improvement compared to the 250, but not the double effect that you should expect. So in principle, we recommend 250 grams unless you are dealing with special situation where you have specific substrate that you want to make sure they are well digested or with young birds. So in conclusion, the enzyme work with specific substrate. You can see here, for example, the energy you can gain with different enzyme. With the enzyme, we say 1 + 1 is not 2. Might be 3, might be less than 2. It depends. It depends on many things. Allow higher inclusion. The enzyme will allow you higher inclusion of these alternative raw material or raw material of lower quality. And this is also an opportunity for you to save costs, because if they are low quality, by using them, you make some saving. Not all benefits of enzyme are direct. We saw some are indirect. And it's difficult to quantify that and take that into account. But this can be shown in trial or in the farm, where the bird can show this benefit. The trypsin inhibitor, I will not talk about the level of processing. There's a lot ongoing also on this, on how good you process and what's the impact of that on the nutritional value of your feed at the end. We talk a bit about the trypsin inhibitor level. It's important because more and more we see that your soya can be going through the same treatment, and you have different level of anti-nutritional factor, especially the trypsin inhibitor. And we know there's a direct link with the level of your trypsin inhibitor and the digestibility of your feed. So it's important to watch that. And then the impact on your gut health. If you are using this enzyme, you should expect a better gut health because of the better digestion of protein and the probiotic effect.
Is Adegoke Comfort from Ondo. All protocol observed, please. I have been using this Benza for some time. But one of the problems I have with it is that it's not readily available everywhere in small quantity. I'm not an advocate of a small scale farming forever. But the fact is that there's no way you have large scale that you not have small scale. But it appears to me that most of the producers of our inputs, or especially these micro and macro enzymes and other nutrients, you only produce them in large quantities like 25 kg, 50 kg. For big farmers, I think you have them in mind than small farmers. I had to come all the way from Ondo to Ibadan to get Zambeza along the Ondo way. But it's not economical. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of how would you do it that small scale farmers can access these enzymes in small quantity to add to their feed.
Thank you very much, madam, for your question and your testimony about using this product. I'll say a few things about making it available in small packs. The idea with this enzyme is to be added in the premix or in the concentrate, and that's why the size is more adapt to that usage. But we take note of your concern. It's something that we can look into, though this will make the cost a little bit higher. But we can look into that. But into making it available, I'll let my colleague tell you more about that.
Okay, I appreciate your concern. We are now trying to work with retailers so that we can get it across nationwide. We now have some new employees who are going to develop some retailers in every state so that you don't have to go to Ibadan to get Cybenza. We are working, we can get it either in Akure or in Ondo town. So very soon, we have your contact. You can visit our stand at Norgem Nigeria Limited downstairs, and we will now fashion out how we can get these retailers so you can get, even if it's just 1 kilo, even half a kilo, 2 kilos, you can get it from the retailers. That's what we are working on right now. Okay? Any other question? We still have some minutes.
Any question? One more? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. We presented on Cybenza DP100, which is a protein enzyme. We have 25 kilos, 25 kilo bag available. 25 kilo bag.
Okay, Iwozo Christian is my name. In the course of your presentation, you mentioned about the metrics to be used. I don't know. I want to confirm. This matrix, is it being validated in this part of the world? Because if you consider the climate condition in most of the European countries, perhaps where this was actually being done, you can't compare with what is applicable here. Then also the breed of the animals involved. If, for instance, we are talking about poultry, chicken in particular, what is applicable for the breed? Have you also put that into consideration? Because that will also go a long way to consider these very micro ingredients to be being incorporated into the feed, both in terms of the metrics and in terms of the breed of the animal. Please, can you throw more light on this?
Let me answer that because I'm privy to a lot of information concerning this product. Novus took the pains to come down to Nigeria. We collected samples nationwide, maize, soya. In fact, we had to develop a compendium which contains the different feed raw materials here in Nigeria with their each nutritional profile, their CP, their ME. Yeah. Then after that, when the product first came, Novus did a lot of trials here in Nigeria with the breed that is present here in Nigeria with recognizable farms. I mean, the top players and even the small and medium scale farmers. Trials, a lot of trials have been conducted. I don't think it's advisable for me to mention names, maybe, but I can mention some top farmers that these trials were done, and up to date, they are making use of this product satisfactorily. In fact, they are saving money, by using this product. You can save as much per ton in Naira, because the presentation was just saying euro. In Naira, practically obtainable, you can save about 2,000 Naira for every ton of feed you produce with this product. Because of the knowledge of this product, you can actually reduce the soya inclusion rate when you are using this Cybenza DP100, because it liberates more amino acids, which is important. That's what the birds utilize, for their production parameters. So that is what is it. Okay.
Want to say something? Yes. Thank you for this question. And just to complete on that, so we have done a lot of local validation. We have, and we can put at your disposition, a good analysis of local raw materials that we can share with you. So when we are formulating, we are taking all this into account. We don't have a standard matrix coming from Europe or from US that we are applying here. No, we have an adapt local matrix. And if you are interested, come into touch with us, we'll share more details with you about that. Same for the breeds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cyril. A round of applause for Mr. Cyril Tamacho and Dr. Okwara. They are just a step below in the main auditorium there by the right-hand side. You can see them for more information. Once more, a round of applause for them. Mr. Oladiran Oluiton, the technical sales manager for DuPont. DuPont. A round of applause for Dr. Oladiran Oluiton. You have an hour now to do this justice. You're welcome, sir.
Great farmer. Yeah, my name is Oladiran Oluiton. I work for DuPont, here with my colleague, Segun Oluwole. A brief introduction of our company. DuPont is, in 2017, DuPont and Dow were together, and in 2019, we decided to split, and in April, Dow is separate. In June, we had Corteva, and in June, we have new DuPont. Transforming every 70 countries of the world. DuPont Nutrition and Biosciences, we do business in 70 countries of the world. We have 32,000 colleagues, 200 manufacturing sites, and we have 10 global research and development sites. And we are positioned to actually serve our customers through 3 strong platforms: food and beverage, health and biosciences, pharma solutions, with focus on animal nutrition, where I and my colleague represent in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. Now, nutribiosis. The first to be considered is nutrition. As we know, 60 to 75% of our cost of production is actually controlled by nutrition. So I think every farmer here should lay more emphasis on how to get the best out of the diet given to their birds. And how do we do that? Well, the raw materials that we use globally, all of them contain what we call anti-nutritional factors, what we call the phytate. The earlier speaker mentioned something about trypsin in soybeans. Every raw material has got phytate, and that's the biggest challenge that every raw material has got. And of course, we need to really, really degrade phytate. And how do we do that? We have to use phytate to break down phytate. We'll soon get there. Now, we go to microbiome. Microbiome is actually the total population of microorganisms in a specific organ in the body. Here we are referring to GIT. That is the main focus here, because that's where the digestion, the absorption, all of those take place. So we need to keep all of this in a good shape so that the animals can give us good performance. What we call, if you baggage in, then you baggage out. Birds don't tell lies. Don't deny them. Yeah. Now, the third one is gut and immune functions. Of course, the gut integrity of the birds needs to be maintained. And of course, when that is maintained, the immune function along that line is also functional. Antibiotic-free animal production is a complex issue, actually. Now, the future of this business is antibiotic-free. And that is what everybody is preaching all over the world. And of course, sometimes in the year, NAFDAC has also made the announcement that feed millers should try to reduce inclusion of antibiotics in their feed. Let me share an experience with you. There was a time I tried to supply a big hotel in Abuja, Transcorp Hilton Hotel. And of course, one of the challenges was, if you bring your chicken, we are going to test for antibiotic residue in your meat. And of course, good. But that's the way to go. Well, so what we use, and the only way to do that is to use probiotics or organic acids. We are not saying that probiotics, organic acid combination, or either will totally replace antibiotics, that is antibiotic growth promoters. Of course, unpredictable diseases challenge are on the rise, with veterinarians having fewer weapons to fight them. Of course, we know that, of course, these diseases come and go, and of course, some come to be endemic in our area, and most of these organisms are now beginning to get resistant to antibiotics. So the way to go is to prevent, and prevent is cheaper and more and less stressful. Now, maintaining consistency is a daily challenge for livestock production managers and nutritionists are overwhelming by the number of different feed options to test. There is no silver bullet. There is no silver bullet in the sense that there is no clear-cut approach to say that, look, if I don't use antibiotics to control diseases on my farm, that I will go the way of probiotics and organic acids. Now, understanding the interaction between the gut and the immune functions, microbiome and nutrition, and how new technologies influence this is a crucial step. The understanding of nutribiosis brings new insights to animal producers, enabling them to have clearer decision-making on feed additives, improve animal performance, improve gut health, promote animal welfare. What it is saying is the fact that when you understand the three approaches to nutribiosis, it will help you to have a judgment on what kind of feed additives do I need to put in my feed. Is it organic acid? Is it prebiotics? Is it probiotics? Is it a combination of all? Now, when you do that and you have a clear judgment, of course, you improve the performance of your animal, the gut health of your birds is also improved, and therefore the animal welfare is improved. Then we all smile to the banks. If we take nutrition, for example, that we feed our birds, the nutritional factors in the raw material, the birds cannot digest them properly, and undigested nutrients get into the ileum, from there to the cecum, where fermentation takes place. Now, the beneficial bacteria is overwhelmed by the non-beneficial bacteria. The non-beneficial bacteria take over the gut, and they multiply, and what do we have? Diseases, subclinical and clinical. Now that come to microbiome, where the microbial population is distorted. Non-beneficial outnumber the beneficial microbes. The gut and immune function is also compromised, where you have inflammation. When you have inflammation, the absorptive surface on the intestine is also compromised. So you don't have the balls to actually utilize the nutrients. That's an unfavorable nutribiotic state. Another unfavorable nutribiotic state, for example, in broilers, necrotic enteritis challenge. Now, I think all of us will have observed that our birds, especially broilers, when they are getting to about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you start seeing some funny stool droppings, you see some funny brownish color. Sometimes it could be reddish, it could be a mix, it could be chocolate color. So those are what we call, these are signs of necrotic enteritis. Ultimately, in this kind of state, in this unfavorable nutribiotic state, giving necrotic enteritis as a case study, these factors will interact with each other to reduce animal performance. Now, nutrition again. High feed intake, high levels of anti-nutritional factors, poor ingredient quality, high levels of undigested nutrients. This is what the nutrition will contribute if the nutrition is not properly utilized, is not properly reformulated in a manner that the birds can break down all the nutritional factors. This is what the nutrition contributes to this specific case. Now the microbiome. What do you have? You have coccidia, you have cocci outbreak with coccidiosis. We have presence of toxin producing Clostridium perfringens, which will now be the opportunistic bacteria here that will take over those lesions in the intestine of the animals. We have low diversity and imbalance, high levels of protein fermenters, poor gut function. All this will make the animal not perform. And what you get is an unfavorable nutribiotic state. Another case study is in the case of pigs. I'm sorry, this is a poultry association of Nigeria. I'm sure that some of us even try to do some pigs on the side. Now, let's talk about briefly. It's not a distraction, actually. It's still part of what we do. Unfavorable nutribiotic state, swine dysentery as a case study. Ultimately, these factors will interact with each other to reduce animal performance, nutrition. In this case study, swine dysentery, high energy, high protein diets, low nutrient digestibility, too much or too little carbohydrate fermentation in the hind gut. These are the things that will happen These are the nutritional factors that will happen in this kind of case, in this swine dysentery. Now for the microbiome, we have increased prevalence of Brachyspira hydrocentric. Of course, this is the organism that is responsible for swine dysentery. So in the microbiome, we said that we have beneficial and non-beneficial microbes. So this microbe is non-beneficial because of what happened from the nutrition end of the concept of the nutribiosis. Now what happened in the gut and the immune function is that this organism now induces extensive inflammation, and that also goes to cause, necrosis of epithelia surface of the cecum and colon. And what that happens is, when there is necrosis, of course, necrosis is what we call death. So that's the death of the epithelial cells in the large intestine of the animal. The third state of unfavorable nutribiotic stage is phytate. Phytate binds protein in the upper GIT. What I mean by in the upper GIT, in the proventriculars, that is where phytate binds protein. So what happens there is, if your enzymes, if the phytase is not potent and efficacious enough to start taking care of phytate right from the crop, you cannot start cleaving phytate from the phosphorus and from the calcium right from the crop. What you get is, when they get to the stomach, that's the upper GIT, then the phytate binds protein. And when phytate binds protein, the protein is unavailable to the buds. And when it's unavailable to the buds, the tendency is that the protein is escaped into the small intestine, of course, to the large intestine, where fermentation takes place. So what you have here is microbiome potential of high level of protein fermenters. Protein fermenters are organisms that feed on protein to multiply and cause diseases to the animals. Now what happened in the gut and the immune function? Increased acidity. That's what happened in the stomach, because when the protein is not available, trypsin is needed to actually break down protein. Protein is not there. What you see is there is increased acidity in the stomach, which can damage gut's absorptive surface and requires more buffering through release of sodium bicarbonate. Protein is not there. Trypsin is protein is not there for because phytate is already bounded to it. And what happens, the body of the animal triggers acidity. Hydrochloric acid is secreted. And what does that mean? There is acidity in the stomach. And when that happens, the body of the animal tends to respond. And the response is to do sodium pump, to buffer. And when sodium pump is being pumped unnecessarily, what do you have? That is supposed to be doing what is not supposed to do, then what you have is exhaustion. Now, there is increased demand for sodium negatively affects gut function by depleting sodium levels in cells, reducing the functionality of the sodium pumps required for key nutrients such as glucose and amino acids. Now we go to favorable nutribiotic stage. Good intestinal health, optimal performance. Here is everything is working well. The animal is able to digest the nutrients, and the microbiome is in good shape, meaning that the beneficial microbe population is far outweighs the non-beneficial micropopulation. Then the gut and the immune function, everything is maintained.
So you see a congested tracheal plaque. You see severe and hyperacute ursiculitis. This is very typical to this IB variant. Enlarged swollen kidney and watery cyst in the reproductive tract. We can see a pathological finding for the Chinese QX. Again, you can see the same tracheal plaque and blood congested lung. Nephritis and nephrosis. Israeli variant 2, Australian strain, and the Chinese strain can cause a problem with the kidney, what we call nephritis and nephrosis, and it will express by damp litter, high mortality, poor uniformity, very low performance, and high contamination rate at the slaughter house. Pathological in the kidney, you see the acute stage, 24 to 48 hours, then nephritis until 72, and then the chronic stage. In variant 2, we can see this problem many times. With the reproductive system, we can see that it could cause typical eggshell deformation, dropping in egg production, but if the bird infected in the young age, we will see what we call the penguin posture, like you see here, and we will see the oviduct cyst, like we see here. So this bird will never lay eggs, never. So you don't see anything, you grow the bird, but when you reach to production, nothing happened. Because instead of oviduct, you have a cyst. This is a virus by itself. It has few different proteins, but the most important protein is the spike protein, this one, on the envelope, which cleaved into two different proteins, S2 and S1, but the important one is S1, which, according to this protein, this genetic protein, we classified the different bronchitis strain. So you see here the classification vaccine strain based on S1 gene, okay? So you see, you have few different groups. Massachusetts, QX793B, unique variant, and variant 2. Talking about diagnosis, we diagnose the bird by clinical and pathological sign, but it's suggestive only because it could be also Newcastle, TRT, low pathogenic avian influenza, ILT, and every other respiratory disease. So we have to do lab test. So we make virus isolation and PCR, which are key for diagnosis. And we sample the bird from trachea and upper palate cleft. You should sample on day 1 to 3, early in the disease, and also sample the cloaca. From lung, sample at the first 2 to 5 days, and for kidney, sample when kidney lesion appear, usually between 4, but usually closer to 8 days. So about the virus by itself. So the IB virus first isolated in Israel in 1996, but it wasn't. It did not evolve into a real problem. But it was first isolated in 2006, and since then it was become the dominant IB variant in the region. During the next 12 years, the variant which we call Israel 1494-06 has spread to Asia, Middle East, Gulf states, Africa, and Europe, and has become a global problem. The target of this virus are broilers, breeders, layers with typical IB clinical signs, respiratory and urogenital. You can see the epidemiology, 25 isolates from different countries around the world. You see 25 isolates, but you can see also in Africa, many isolates in Africa, in Nigeria, in Morocco, Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, many isolate through different places in Africa. And this is what happened in Israel. We introduced the vaccine at the end of 2009, and you see, since we introduced the vaccine, the number of isolates dropped sharply. And we didn't see this problem anymore in Israel. but it's not only in Israel. It happened also in Turkey. It happened also in Poland. And it will happen, I think, also in Nigeria if we will introduce this vaccine. So what we did in Nigeria. Primary tests in Nigeria and in integration have shown involvement of IB strain from group Massachusetts, QX, 793B, and IV bar 206. So we decided to run a survey, along Nigeria. So this IB survey was conducted in commercial poultry farm. We took FTA samples that from IB suspected flock and from different regions, Ibadan, Abuja, Kaduna, Enugu. Cloacal, tracheal, Joanna, and kidney swab were collected from 20 sick birds in each house early. This is early, it's very important, after detection of clinical sign. The typical clinical sign included mortality, drop in egg production, eggshell deformation, respiratory signs, and enlarged swollen kidney. All FTA cards were sent to identification at the Veterinary University of Vienna. And the results showed the presence and the importance of IBVAR 206 cycling in Nigerian poultry farms. You can see here the different isolate in Nigeria and in Africa, but you can see IBVAR 2, but also other isolates. We can see also in South Africa, Namibia, but still the main strain throughout Africa are the QX, IBVAR 206, Massachusetts, and 793B. And this is a list of wide distributed variants. You see the QX, variant 2 and Q1 are circulating in Africa, you see here. We also can find isolate from group 793B in Massachusetts, but it's mostly from the vaccines that they are getting. It's not field viruses. So you remember we talked about homologous protection. We see here, you see here, we try to see the difference between two vaccine programs. The first vaccine, we vaccinate with Massachusetts and 793B, and the result was 67% protection. And then we vaccinate with IBVAR 206 against the homologous strain, and we got 97%. So we can be sure that the virus, the vaccine can protect against the homologous virus. But we also look for cross protection against another problematic IB viruses from group 793B and group QX. So you can see we run 3 lab trials. You can see one of them here. This trial, we vaccinate on day 1 and repeat on day 14 and challenge the bird with QX. Of course, we vaccinate with IB VAR 206 and we challenge with QX, and we test the bird on day 41. This is the result. You can see by 2 different tests, the celiostasis test and the re-isolation, we found more than 25% protection after vaccinating twice with IB variant 2 and challenged with the QX virus. So the vaccination program, which we are recommending for breeder, day 1, repeat on day 10 to 12, repeat 8 weeks, repeat 18 weeks, and then every 8 weeks during production, With layer, it's almost the same. Day 1, 12, 6 weeks, 13 weeks, and every 2 months during production. In broiler, also twice, day 1, and then repeat between day 10 to 14. Another thing that you must know, that this IBVAR 206, you can combine it together with live ND-VH vaccine, not with every ND, live ND, but with VH, which is our fibro vaccine. We test them together, and they are not interfering each other. So you can combine them together, but not every live ND vaccine. So to summarize, IB strain was isolated in Israel in 2006. Disease characterized by respiratory and urogenital lesion. In the last 12 years, it became a global problem. This unique IB strain broke out in flock vaccinated with variant vaccine, like I showed you, as a vaccine schedule that we test with a 793B in Massachusetts. A unique homologous vaccine was then developed because we didn't have any solution. I know today some people in the world say that QX can protect against variant 2, or 793B together with Massachusetts can protect against variant 2, but we have a lot of experience all over the world, and we know that the only vaccine that can protect in the optimistic way is only the homologous vaccine, which IBVAR 206. That's why we developed this vaccine, and it proved to be protective against variant 2 disease and completely solved the problem in affected countries like Israel, Turkey, Poland, South Africa. It protects breeder, broilers, and layer from day 1 onward. And in the Middle East, Turkey, East Europe, and Africa, including several big commercial poultry farms in Nigeria, which are already using this vaccine and are very satisfied with it. So what I showed you before, that 3 lab trials have shown good cross immunity between this virus and QX and 793B. It is likely that this vaccine is able to control this disease in commercial chickens, and we already proved that also. I told you that this is the only efficient homologous vaccine solution to protect against variant 2. So if you have in your farm variant 2, this is the only good solution. Other solution will give you 50% protection, 60%, maximum 70%, but not 95% like I can show you in this presentation. So this is a IB solution of fibro, and you can get this vaccine in tablet form from Agrited. You see IBVAR, which belongs to 793B group, IBVAR 206, and Massachusetts. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. I would like to thank my colleague, Udi Ashash, Taleb Enchen, Caroline, and Benny Perelman. And I also want to tell you that we have an article that you can get here from our representatives. I can show you what I mean. We don't see it. Okay. So we don't see it. I don't know why. I can see it here. So you can get this article. It will summarize all what I said now. And if you have this problem, and if you suspect that you have, What I recommend you to take samples to be sure what exactly you are coping with, and then you have a very good solution. And also, if you have problem with the QX or a 793B group, this vaccine also can give you the solution. So this vaccine can give the homologic protection, the only one that can give it, but also can cross-protect with other problematic IB viruses which are circulating today in Nigeria. So thank you very much.
A round of applause for Dr. King. There will be room for questions. The first, both the first and the second. You see, hold on, sir, so there'll be questions and answers. Please signify if you have any question. Hold on, hold this. Please just tell us your name. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, afternoon. Thank you, Doctor, for your lecture. You have able to tell us there is the usual vaccine that we're used to. Sorry, my name is Olutayo Abayomi. Yeah. From Abeokuta here. You are able to tell us the Abi vaccine that we got used to in Africa, in particular Nigeria, have been changing to February. Now, I was thinking why the presentation was good. I thought it's going to be that usual solution vaccine, the way we used to go. But now you have told us from the last slide there is a tablet. Please, can you go further? Just tell us the dosage. How, since it's a tablet now, how to make use of it.
I didn't understand exactly what you're trying to say.
The dosage.
What?
This is a tablet. The vaccine is a tablet.
Yeah. All this vaccine, IB vaccine, today you can get it by tablet form, which we know for sure the tablet form has many advantages on the regular vaccine, and it's very convenient. It's less sensitive to heat condition, and I think it's only advantages to use it. We only have it in tablet form, this vaccine. IBVAR 206 and IBVAR 233, 793B group. We only have them in tablet form because we believe, and that's what the world requires. The people in the world require the tablet form.
It's talking about dosage and how to apply it. I know it's in tablet.
Yeah.
The application.
How to apply the tablet form? Please come to our booths, and we will show you everyone that want to understand better the application of the tablet form. Invited to aggregated booths, and we will demonstrate it to him. And I think you will find out that it's better solution than the vial form.
Okay, any other question?
About that, you said that vaccine is in tablet form. Is it cost effective? In terms of cost.
It's the same price like vials?
The price.
Price of vials.
Oh, the price is not too expensive.
The same. Price is the same.
Okay.
But you get much better vaccine, or much, like I told you, it's convenient.
Okay.
It's less sensitive to heat condition. And in Nigeria, we know for time to time we have a shortcut of electricity that we don't know what happened. And if for some reason this happened during transportation or during in your refrigerator, the chance for this vaccine to keep the same efficacy, it's better than vaccine in vials. It doesn't say, I don't say you have to keep it on storage between 4 to 8 degrees, like every live vaccine. But if from some reason something happened and you don't know how many hours this vaccine was out of cold chain, so it's the chance that it will keep the same efficacy, it's better than the chance of the vial.
Thank you.
A round of applause for Dr. King once more. Great farmers in their own field of endeavor or areas that you could ask questions. from DOC to hatcheries to feed to additives or any other thing related to our poultry industry. Great farmers, you are most sincerely welcome. But before we call the special people that will do justice to this, I recognize the presence of our Southwest Chairman, the presence of Prince Dr. Bode Adetoyi. A round of applause for our chairman is in our midst. And also, the PANLAC chairman, Mr. Godwin Ebebe, is also in our midst as well. Another state chairman we recognize. A round of applause for our chairman, please. It's not easy to come here all the way from Lagos. But I'll quickly call on some eminent people now to do justice. Oh, let's say your chairman is here. I'm sorry. A round of applause for the royal chairman, sir. Your name, sir?
Agbola Gbemisoye.
The man says his name is Agbola Gbemisoye, but when I see him, I'll just say Governor Makinde, so I know he's on your state. A round of applause for him. Right now, before we do justice, other people will come. As they come, we'll introduce them to you, so I will save time. For right now, I call on Dr. Akinlolu Rotimi of CHI. A round of applause for Dr. Rotimi, please. Can you please come forward, sir? He's always to be a doctor. You can see him. He's a funky doctor, looking fine, looking robust. This man has it. A round of applause for doctor, please. If I say Dr. Gbe body, you'll be surprised he will gbe his body. Right now, I also call on Dr. S.W. Adegbabu of Top Feed. Adegbaju. Look at what I'm saying. Another fine man. The man is looking robust. This man eats 2 eggs a day, not one. He's a nutritionist. Am I right, sir? A round of applause for Dr. Adegbaju. Thank you very much. We are waiting the presence of Dr. Wageti and Mr. Kunle Ogumbamoju. Oh. Baba ẹ má bínú. Èmi náà kọ Arabic ló fi kọ kíní yìí. School àárọ̀ dẹ̀ mo lọ ẹ má bínú ẹ dáríjì mi. So Dr. Kunle Ogumbamoju. Mo gbé o. Baba ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ mo wà. Maybe with much respect, let my Southwest chairman do justice and call that name so that the man will know I respect him. Over to you, sir.
Okay, Dr. Kunle Ogunmoju, you are welcome. Farm support. Thank you.
Baba, I respect Emily. Daruko ini, Ekawosa. You're welcome, sir. A round of applause for my doctor. The man says he's a mister again. The man is a very humble man. A round of applause for this humble man. Thank you very much. So it's an interactive season now. Let's get ready. Our pens, our papers, our criticisms. But before I do that, I have a word from our Southwest chairman, Prince Dr. Bode Adetoyi. You're welcome, sir. Look at my chairman, robust, fine. Oh, you're welcome, sir.
And our PRO is more robust than me. You can see it's a sign of good living. Great farmer. Thank you once again. We've been here since yesterday. Some of us have been here Monday. And I pray that the reason for being here, God will give that profit into our pocket. In Jesus' name. You know, we organize this session so that we can have tete and tete, the way Oloyibo used to call it. We need to discuss among ourselves. You know, we are happy. Federal government, either they close border fully or partially. We are seeing the effect. The effect could be negative. The effect could be positive. And these erudite scholars, poetry gurus that we have selected this evening, do justice to our question and answer. The essence of this interactive session will be, what can we do to move poultry business forward? What are the challenges? What can big company that are being represented here could do to help us? We have farm support, we have Top Feed, we have CHI, some other top companies on ground. We have the input supplier, we have the cage supplier, so many things. So we are here. So the whole value chain are in this hall. So how can we work together? I'm not mentioning a DO6 or Astri producer. They are not alone, because if the DO6 is 400 naira and you get to me too, I increase your license from maybe supposed to be 500, you are now buying at 900. So everybody has to join hand together to make sure that we take this opportunity. We don't allow it to slip by, because the side comment, for example, by God's grace, I have access to maybe like 3 ministers. And after they hear our program yesterday, he said, Bode, talk to your people. What are you people doing to make chicken available and affordable? And the quality you are talking about is also there and is of international standard. Those are the 3. He says, so tell us what we need to do from government side. He said, because what we are hearing now is all you farmers has jack up the prices of broiler. So we don't want that, because people will be complaining. So now the floor is open. We want our broiler to be sold at a competitive price. You know, one of our colleagues was here yesterday. He said in maybe Lebanon, a kg of chicken is $1. So let's say our $1 here is 360 naira. How much are we selling our own? So the most important thing now, we need to increase our capacity, but we need to be competitive. If we are not competitive, we will not be able to be there. So let us increase capacity so that we will be able to sell at a very good price. We don't need to take that, because if we are able to sell DO6 at 150, at 180, at 200 naira, please, we don't need to make unnecessary profit now. Let us drive volume. When more farmers are in the system, then it will pay us. So please, that is the reason why we are here. And be rest assured that some of what we will discuss here will be part of a communique after this program. And be rest assured that we will deliver it directly to the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our chairman. So I want to recognize the presence of Dr. Wageti. To please come forward from Adamo. A round of applause for Dr. Wageti. You are welcome, sir. Another fine gentleman. Look at him, clean like a senator. Senator Dr. Wageti. A round of applause for him. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen. So these are our panel. We start the ball rolling. I know so many questions. So let's quickly do it. My chairperson is giving me sign that time has fast spent. So who said the ball rolling now with the first question? Mr.
Sorry. We will allow the panelists to share with us about the industry. Maybe if we have like 30 minutes, maybe let them just take maximum 5 minutes to talk generally.
Farmers, great farmers, no farmer, no farmer, no farmer. I want to welcome everyone again. Ladies and gentlemen, I say you're welcome. Marga, can you please occupy this seat? Very much. When we were talking about having this session, I mentioned that most of the time, when we call for such programs, we hear a lot of lectures. We get a lot of questions. We get a lot of answers. But at the end of the day, all of us live here, like somebody said, we have come for a Christmas party. And we go, and nothing is done until we come again the year after. So we want to look at it so that what are the practicable solutions that we can offer to some of the challenges that all of us are facing. Most of the time, it's like what I've seen in industry is like a case of myself versus yourself. You will see the farmer The broiler farmer is saying it is the day-old chicks producer that is killing my business by the cost of the broilers. You will see the people that are buying eggs from us. We will say they are the ones that are killing the business because of the price that they are offering for us for eggs. We will look at the person that is selling the feed and say, the feed is too expensive, that is why I'm not profitable. We will come again and we'll say, if government had done this particular thing, we will not be in this situation. What do you see? There is a trend. The enemy next door. The enemy next door. The enemy next door. So before we start asking these questions, I want us to look at it. Our enemy is not the input provider. Our enemy is not the feed seller. Our enemy is not the day-old chicks producers. Our enemy is not the people that are buying eggs from us. Our enemy is not the government. Can we look at ourselves and says, what did you say? He's the one that said so, it's not me. Look at the person next to you, tell the person. So if we change that narrative and begin to look at ourselves as collaborators in this business, that what affects the input provider affects the chicken producer, affects, like somebody said, they sell a kilo of chicken somewhere at 360 naira per kilo. But even the cost of the day old is more than that. So if somebody wants to buy chicken today and comes to you and say, in Bangladesh, chicken is 360, why are you selling me chicken at 1,000? You are the enemy of that person, as it were. We have our different reasons. We have the different circumstances. All of us are plagued by the same thing. We get funds at 20-something%, if we get at all. The road to our farms, all of us are responsible for fixing the roads on our farm. All of us are buying maize at, we used to buy at 80 naira, 75 naira. Now we are buying at 215 naira. Day-old chicks, when I joined the industry, I've joined the industry a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I joined the industry after graduation. So I have some knowledge of what is happening in the industry. And most of the time, somebody will ask me, for example, somebody says, we're talking with someone and he says, who are your competitors? I was asking me who are my competitors. I say, okay, you expect me to mention Chi, right? Chi is not my competitor because I can't sell all the chicken that everybody in this room is going to use. So if I change the narrative, so what I'm challenging us today, before we start asking questions, is to change the way we look at issues. And take it that the enemy is not next door. The enemy is not the person you are sitting beside. The enemy is somewhere else. And we are busy fighting ourselves inside the room. And by the time we finish killing ourselves, what happens? Nobody is left standing. So I don't want us to let me talk to him. Now I have the opportunity to slam at him. I don't want us to do that today. Do I have a witness, like we say in the church? Do I have a witness? Can I see your hands up? Are you giving me more confidence if I know everybody, if I know the people that are agreeing with me here? Okay, if you don't agree with what I've said, can I see your hands up? You can't sit on the fence in this matter. It's either agree or you don't agree. Do you agree with me? Can I see by a show of hands? Okay, the eyes have it. So, when Dr. Alayode was talking, he mentioned a lot of things. We have had so many things. So we said, this time around, let us now sit down. I will sit there. I will not sit here. I'm part of here, not here. So, whatever questions you want to ask, please direct them to this gentleman. But I want you to look at them and know that they are not the problem here. They are not the problem here. So, I encourage us to ask questions so that we can have actionable points. Enough of us dishing it out and saying, this is the way it is, this is the way it is. Let us all together look at what is the solution that we can then run with. So that when we come back next year, we'll do this session again next year. When we come back next year, we'll be able to look at the gains of this session so that we can begin to have it on a year-to-year basis. If you agree with me, can you please clap for me? The clap is not encouraging. So can we begin to have questions? I don't want them to begin to talk about in the questions that we are asking, the experiences of each and every one of them will come out. Their comments about whatever is happening in the industry will come out. But I want it to be things that you will throw at us so that we can profile the solutions, rather than the same way we will come and tell you, this one is very good, this one is good, this one is good. And we say question and answer. We have only 2 minutes for questions. So because of that, a lot of us live with agitations in our mind. We don't want to do that now. So we'll take as many questions as possible before we begin to now make responses. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You have something to say?
Great farmer. Great farmer. I hope people know me, Abi. If you don't know, if I'm not attending my seminar, you must have read me on WhatsApp. Yes or no? My Oga have said something, and I want just take two minutes of your time to elaborate on one topic. The problem in the industry are the farmer, as far as I'm concerned. The farmers. That's the problem in the industry. Eh? How many of you are egg producers here? Raise up your hand. Egg producers. How many times did you attend PAN meeting? How many times did you attend PAN meeting? Are you member? Are you active? Okay, the question I asked now, in my estate, you say in my training, in my estate, the vulcanizers or the barber saloon, once they fix price, it's uniform. Go to anywhere, it's the same price. Is it possible, those at the committee meeting, is it possible, those are attending meeting, hello? Is it possible? If you agree, okay, if now we agree today, egg is 1,002, do you agree? 1,002. Eh? Yes. No, forget about that one, my brother. Can we agree on that one? Eh? So why? Because we are not together. Abisa, we are not together. Every farmer is doing on his own way differently. If all of us agree on certain prices, at least we achieve. And let me share a small thing with you. Just our neighboring country here, Sudan. Go to Sudan. 98% of the farmers, they operate closed house. Even those farmers with 20,000, 30,000, they operate closed house system. But in Nigeria, it's not possible. And Sudan is the only country that you cannot import and export because there is a sanction in Sudan because of the high Bin Laden there. But yet, the farmers in Sudan, they came together, formed a strong union, and determined the price of egg for people. But in Nigeria, it's not possible. And that's our farmer with even 20,000, they operate closed house system. For me, if we want to succeed in this industry, the farmers must come together under one umbrella. Very strong association. If not, nothing will work. And please, even this World Egg Day we are celebrating, as far as I'm concerned, it's not working. It's not working. We have been doing it yearly, nothing is happening. And my madam can testify in my seminar. Let's form other association inside the PAN. And their duty is to promote egg every day. Every day. I've done a research in 29 states now. I have the data. I have moved around. I asked questions. Those that are 50 years and above, I have the data. All of them told me that they don't eat egg. I say, why? The doctor say it. We are only promoting school children. School children eat egg. But the big people, they don't eat egg. So there is need for us to involve the vet doctors and human nutrition to go to hospital and handle this human vet doctor. That's the problem in today. Thank you.
I see the passion by which Dr. Wageti wants to dish it out. But like I said, I do not want us to go that route today. I want us to hear from you and work out a... See, if we... what thing I know when we gather as Nigerians is that we can spend 4-5 hours talking about the problem. And then when it comes to the solution, we say, God will help us. I don't want us to do that today. We won't do that today. God is there helping us already. So we are not going to call on God today to come and help us because he's already there helping us. And I don't want us, yes, we will talk about what the problems are. But that's why I'm changing the narrative to see that even though there are challenges, and we talk about it and say, you are the problem, I'm the problem. At the end of the day, what happens is the blame game. Is the enemy next door. Doctor, we won't do enemy next door. No, we are not doing enemy next door. The farmer is the problem? No. The farmer is not the problem. The input supply is the problem? No, the input supply is not the problem. All of us are facing the same challenge. The reason why they call a meeting for palm, for example, I'm not able to come is because I've not even been able to sell the eggs that I want to sell on the farm. So why do I have time to go and sit down at a meeting when I'm still battling with selling eggs? And you will tell me I'm not being active. They say bring 20 naira, but they don't know whether I've eaten it yesterday. So I don't want us to go the route of you are the issue, I am the issue. We are all facing the same problem. People will say, the CHIs are big. They should be able to sell the chicks at 100 naira. Yes, I agree. They should be able to sell at 100 naira. What is their input? What is the cost of their input? I mean, so I beg, please, I beg. Can I speak Yoruba and Pidgin and everything together? I beg. We don't want to do all this, now you be my problem, now you be my problem. No, let us find what the problems are, but we are looking at the problems with a view to profiling solutions. I will tell you, these guys are not going to be able to give us the solution. I am not also able to give us the solution, but together in this room, we will all find the solution. That is it. Thank you. So, questions?
Great farmers. Toromade Francis is my name. We have been talking about our industry. I want to ask, what effort is PAM making to be part of the government? Because, Simbe, Onibo Onia Shekme. What effort is PAM members making to be in politics? So when we are not there, there's nothing we can do. They'll be dictating to us. What effort are we ready to sponsor candidates to House of Assembly, to Senate? So when they are talking of beef, we are talking of chicken. When they are talking of goats, we are talking of eggs. So what effort is PAM making to sponsor candidates, farmers, to government? And that's my question, sir.
Let's take, I want us to take like 3-4 different comments or 5 different comments before we begin to respond from this side. So, yes, your hand up. Yes, please.
Great farmers. Great farmers. The response is low. Are we tired? I said, great farmers. Well, Reverend Lule Gideon from Akure Almond Farms. I want to commend our moderator for trying to change the narrative. That's a good way to approach it. Everybody has something stored up, the blame game. But for me, I want to begin from this DOC thing. I'm changing my own narrative now, because if you are in this hall the morning, the way I spoke was different. I will speak in another dimension now. How can we really moderate this spontaneous expansion of prices over the DOC? How can we moderate it? You book your DOC today as also price, they tell you next week 200 naira increase. I mean, is it not supernormal profit like the economics will call it? And what effects do you expect that it will have on farmers? I give you an example. I booked 10,000 birds from a company, I won't mention the name again, and I paid. And then within the space of 2 weeks, when they said they had a meeting, they said they have increased the price with 150. That's about 1.5 million increase for me to pay. I said, wow, I won't be able. And then what I'm going to do, they say they can't do anything. Okay, my money, I said, okay, I would rather leave the money there. Though I was angry, but at the end of the day, for 3 months, 2 months plus, they supply me again with that same amount that I booked. But the interest within that 2 months is enormous, and nothing is done to compensate. How can we really regulate this? For sure, we want you to run and make profits, but for us farmers too, who are with you, we also want to run and make profit. So it must not be one-sided. So I want this meeting. Trees owners are here. See how we can moderate it. We are not saying when there is demand, don't increase your price. You can increase, but let it not be this skyrocketed thing that will kill farmers.
So, Dr. Akinlolu? Yeah.
Great farmers. Great farmers. Well, mine is a simple one. Tunde Ifemade is my name, from Animal Care. The coming together is a step forward. Working together is also going to take us to the next level. As in agreeing on what we need to do. But Dr. Akinlolu, no, not Akinlolu, Wageti made a very short connection with the barber and the prices, and also the organizers. But comparison, but we know we have an issue with this because the perishability of our product, the egg, and also the chicken. When it's not preserved and you are going forward, we may have. So, could we get a congruence at that level so that at least everybody can speak in one voice and sell one crate of egg at 1,200 naira going forward? Maybe that will go to hybrid MD saying about the value chain approach. That's my question. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Ifemade. Ìrọ̀lẹ́ ni mo lọ school. Ẹ bá wa sọ ọkọ tí ẹ fẹ́ ká ṣe yẹn. Ká yé wa dáadáa torí kò yé mi o. What do you want us? What are you actually saying?
What I'm saying is that how possible do we be able to? Okay, oh my God, fortunately, how we can put this coming with a one voice concerning also the prices of our product. We wanted to eliminate our middlemen so that they will not dictate to us. How do we do that? Is it at the farm level? Is it at the pan level? At what level? Because this product, Shebu, to buy the putting penle, and to the tea, I'm out where can you man low? We can tell you, I would dear it's less saying.
Uniformity in pricing, price regulation, right? If I get you right, that's what you're talking about. Uniformity in pricing and price regulation. Who is going to help us with that? No, don't answer yet. I just want to, so that everybody knows which area you'll be thinking about it before it comes to you. We have taken, that's the third one. We are taking about 5 in this round, then we'll take another 5. Who will be able to help us on the issue of price regulation and uniformity? You'll do that as well. Thank you. Sorry, I'll get to you, man.
Great farmers. My name is Godwin Igbebe, the PAN chairman, Lagos State. Well, mine is a solution because we have been, like he said, we have been beating about the bush, doing the same thing every time. I think last year when the AMCOR Borrowers Program started, we discussed with the company that we want to harmonize the price of DOC so that it will be uniform throughout the year. When it is high tide, farmers buy at that price. When it is also low tide, farmers buy at that price. Maybe let's assume that we agree at maybe 200. January to December, it is 200. So it is going to be a win-win situation for everybody. It's not when, okay, the farmers were asking us, as soon as it was announced that the border should be closed, prices of broiler jacked up from 220 to 420. The question is, what has changed? What has changed? Is it the cost of producing a day-old chick that has changed? So it's just like making a kill. Say this is an opportunity. Let us. So, but if the price is uniform, we know there are times that broilers, day-old broilers, is sold for about 80 naira before. So, but when you uniform the price, you make it uniform throughout the year, farmers can plan. So let us agree so that we can move this industry forward.
Still your baby. Great farmer. My name is Mrs. Adamolekun FM. My question is, I'm coming from Ondo State. The hatchery are far to us there. And this does not enable people there to rear fowl or day chicken as we like. What you people can do for us to let 1 or 2 hatchery reach our state, Ondo State? Then second, this type of seminar, you know, before we get there, we spend a lot. If let's say this type of seminar, you are organizing it for us in a, you choose Akure to be a center. We should be very, how can you help us in these 2 things?
So, the last question for this round.
Mrs. Adegoke Comfort is my name, from Ondo. Yes. I have about 2 or 3 things to mention here, which I want us to address. We are talking about people coming for meeting, for PAN meeting. I happen to be the chairman of Ondo Zone PAN. One of the problem we have in PAN is influx of all walks of life rearing chicken. Goat sellers rear chicken, pepper sellers rear chicken, yam, clothes sellers. Everybody wants to be poultry farmers, retired politicians, retired army officers, and so on. So you come to the situation where you cannot coordinate. They will not come for the meeting. They stay in their farms, you know, big people. They don't want to associate with small farmers. I don't know what PAN wants to do about it, because when you are talking about vulcanizer, it's not an ordinary person cannot be a tailor. You have to go through a training. But in poultry, somebody just wake up overnight and say, I want to be a poultry farmer, and that is it. So to coordinate Poultry Association of Nigeria, even in our zone, is so difficult. That's one. Secondly, there has been a lot of fraudsters in poultry business. They will come to us, take our data, let so many information about us. We're going to get you loan, we're going to get you grants, and we will not see them again. And one of the things, the program is this Anchor. It was done in Ondo State. And so many farmers paid their nurseries for farm inspection, for whatever, and all those logistics. And nothing came out of it. Many farmers right now, they are so discouraged that if you talk PAN in their ears, they will just tell you, you are all thieves. Then they said that I think is bringing the problem of fixing this price is the first one I said. When you cannot even coordinate the people that are in poultry, how will you sit down and fix price? If on your own, 15 people are coming to your meeting and you say you fix the price for 850, what of the politician that can afford to sell at 650? What of the retired army officer that can sell at 650? So they will not comply. What will you do about it?
Thank you very much. Can we begin to have some responses, and then we'll go around again for more questions. Start with Mawaga here.
Thank you. I'll take the first question and the last question. And the first question will be, what effort is PAM members or farmer making to enter politics? Thank you for that very beautiful question. When it comes to politics, our people are very docile. They don't want to go into it. Let me say 70% of people here knew that the last election I ventured into it to contest for the Federal House of Rep. Let me also say 80% of people here came or meet me and say, Bode, what is your problem? Is it money you are looking for that you don't have? Do you want to kill yourself? Do you want them to assassinate you? Do you know the reason why I went for that politics? I believe if I'm there as a member of Federal House of Rep and an issue pertaining to farmers came to the assembly, nobody will be asking us to contribute 50 million before they pass our own district. And in that short electioneering that I ran, for the first time, I will tell you, I personally spent 32 million naira. Even though I was given the ticket. Let me tell you, for some of you don't know, but the merger and acquisition of my company with Neovia, stop it. Because those people don't want a politician. I have to personally hand over to somebody in my hometown to take my ticket. So if we need anything in the National Assembly, especially Federal House of Rep now, the guy is going to help us. But what I'm saying in essence is that instead for people to rally around for us, even to contribute money to support that vision, majority we are too docile, we are discouraging. In some panels, maybe in US and co, they are begging, farmers are like a king. So it is high time now that we should come up, because if we have our billions, by the time you get there, they will make nonsense of it, because it is the House of Rep or Senate, they could promulgate any law there that you cannot own one chicken without registration. If we want to push, they need money. If they ask us to contribute a common for 5,000 now, with apology, 50% of people sitting down, we will not contribute 5,000 to defend that 20 million business we have in our farm. By the time you add your housing, cages, feed you are buying, everything, it's more than 25 million. But they ask you to contribute 5,000. Nobody is ready to contribute. And I will answer the question of the madam too. When you call a general PAM meeting, where you supposed to see, in fact, one day we were envisaging that people will come. We bought food. We just made provision for 50 people we bought. Do you know that it was only 16 people that came? And we wanted to discuss issues that concern us. So it is high time now. Another election is coming. If one of us, if we come out, let us support. We can contribute as a body. For my own matter, and to be sincere, I can say boldly that it is when I joined that politics, I was able to meet people that ordinarily you cannot meet. It is when I joined them that I was able to talk to them. So if there's anything now, when we took NAFDAC up, I quickly raised it to one of the ministers. And didn't NAFDAC pipe down? They pipe down. Those are the kind of thing that we can do. Concerning this border closure now, I was called around 11 p.m. yesterday that about this Abeokuta something. And they say, is it good? I say, it's good. They say, okay, we should be careful in the prices we'll be selling our chicken. And Tokaka was there. He was helping us. He's a poultry farmer. So if he cannot sell egg in his farm in Abeokuta or Ijebu there, he knows what to do. Okay, if two senators are having farms, during that egg lot, won't he know how to go and talk to VP that is in charge of school feeding, and they will say, and they will mop up all the eggs? So we need to go into politics, not just being on my own alone. That is on the area of politics. And on the area of being PAN member, like a broom, when broom is together, like unity, it is then that they can sweep very clean. So in our various states now, please let us support our executive. Please don't let us be saying you PAN. Who are PAN? You are also a PAN member. Don't let us be saying you people in PAN. Since you elected me now, and some of us that are here, I am telling you, we have been using our company's money to travel to Abuja. And when you fly to Abuja, go come, you will spend nothing less than 200,000. We are having accumulated of that. Well, we thank God we can afford that. But if you don't pay annual due, how do you do advocacy? It requires a lot of money. So time has come now. Please, I cannot have investment of 500 million, and I won't be able to contribute 100,000 to support it. And I believe majority of us that are here, we are more than let me say we are more than 250,000 farmers. If those 250,000 contributed 50,000 each, we will move a lot of this. We will put it together and said you cannot open one chicken farm without coming to PAN. We'll be able to push it in Abuja. So whatever that will be good require money. They say, Yoruba will say, the soup that is sweet, they say na money kill am. Thank you.
Great farmers. Great farmers. I am always a very optimistic person. I like to be positive when I talk to people. But I have a bad news for you. Please, you asked me to be a panelist. I like being factual with people. If you don't want me to speak, I will sit down. But let us speak truth. My chairman has already said, don't be aggressive. Don't defend. We're not here to defend. We are here to solve a problem that is common to all of us. Those who are here who represent different companies, they are in business because you are here. And if you are not there, they will not be there. You understand what I mean? So it's good to find a common ground to solve issues. I will speak. I said I have a bad news for you, and it's based on statistics. The mere fact it is bad news doesn't mean it do the right things. So, in response, because our chairman said some few things now. Yesterday, at the opening ceremony, there was a seminar on value chain analysis. Today, I chanced to come in at a time when Mr. Dr. Leye was talking about why farms were dying. It's virtually tied to what we are talking about, or we're going to be talking about in the next few minutes, before we round up. To cut it short, in Nigeria today, I can tell you authoritatively, I stand to be corrected, about 200 million day-old broilers are placed in Nigeria in 2019. Remember that figure. Roughly 200 million day-old chicks broilers are placed in Nigeria in 2019. 2 years ago, that was 2017, about 160 million broilers was placed in Nigeria in that year. You can start to calculate the figures. In parent stock, this year, about 2 million parents placed. 2017 specifically, that was like about 1.5 million. Now, when I say total, I'm talking about both broiler and layer parent stock. This, I'm speaking from a guesstimate based on figures that I have access to. Do you understand what I mean now? But that is very, very clear is this. Looking at the future, if any of us were willing to tell ourselves the truth, we have lots of opportunities popping up. But those who are going to access those opportunities, let me tell you who they are going to do. In this room, I pray with. He said it's not about prayer. God is already helping us. It is about knowledge and being willing to use that knowledge to create value in the future. And you still have that attitude of blaming everybody for your problem. You can't grow. That is one of the bad news that I have.
If you are in this room and you are still like the archery that supplies me Deo chicks at this price is my enemy, you are still wasting your time in this business. Only two ways to create value in the business is this: you reduce your cost so that your profit margin can improve, or you sell more at a higher price even if you cannot change your cost, or you do both anyway. That's the third option. In a situation where you reduce your cost, the next thing you think about is, let me sell more. My mentor is in this room. He's a professional. He taught me all these things I'm talking about. So he can tell me if I'm saying the wrong things. The truth is this: first and foremost, before we go underlying issues, it's quite important for us as farmers to look at the difference between your farm and your neighbor's farm in performance. You see some companies, they died. Dr. Leye was saying it this morning. I was listening. I didn't stay long enough to see his conclusions, but I knew where he was going. The difference is actually in how efficient you are in running your business. The difference is actually, are you willing to do things differently to get more value for your business? Please, I would not like to talk too much in this direction, but I'm sure some of us will have been dead enough to think in that direction. Let me go quickly to the questions at hand, because time is not our. When we are talking about prices, I will go back to what he said. Without money, the association cannot run. Some people are sacrificing time, energy, and the money from their businesses to drive the association most of the time. But the truth is this: all of us in this room, we have obligations that we need to fulfill better. I was privileged to have a month's training in the US about 3 years ago. I went to study agricultural marketing information. And one of those things I learned is the fact, because it's tied to pricing, it's also tied to costs. Some of the things I learned. Farmers are the richest people in the US. And farmers in Nigeria can be rich if we do the right things. But the blame game has to stop. One of the structures that I see from pricing, from the point of view of pricing, is this. While I was there, one of those things I learned is this. One, there is organization and control. Farmers have insurance. The government doesn't intervene in what any farmer does. The only thing the government intervenes in, or supports the industry, is to make sure all farmers have insurance, so that if there is a price failure or a product failure, you are protected, so that next year you can continue with your business. They have just acts of legislation to help, and there are many farmers in government officials who are also farming. They have farming interests to support this. All these things I'm talking about in Nigeria, where do we stand in all this? Do we have these structures on ground? Now, let me tell you the conclusion of my bad news. Met, who has given me information about future. A lot of optimism in the room right now. Fine, because borders are closed. They are not going to be closed forever. The gap that is created, going to fill in that gap. Who is positioned, ready to fill that gap? Let me tell you who. In 10 years' time, half of the people in poultry in this business will not be here. It is bad news, but I have to tell you the truth the way I see it. It is not just because I'm smart, but people tell me things. Even some of the people in this room, they have told me information that I'm sharing with you in the course of the past 2 days. It is bad news simply because you have to prepare yourself to be well positioned to get that value. We have to be positioned to prepare ourselves to get that value. In 10 years' time, you find out that the big guys will get bigger. I'm very sorry to say, it's bad news for some people who are thinking, I want to get big. But you can get big too. But you have to think like the guy sitting at the top, not the person that grumbles about why I'm not doing well. Sorry, I have to be factual, but I'll say that. Now let me go quickly to price of Deo chicks now. On the price of Deo chicks, historically, this business, we all know, It's a free trade industry. People find a way to survive in their businesses. It is not ethical to sell a product for 500 naira to a person, and you expect that person, after adding value to it, to sell it without a profit. If you are in a position to want that person to come back and do business with you, you will not do that. But one thing that has not been highlighted in this room is what has happened to the man in the middle. What is the role of the man in the middle? The middleman in all these things we are talking about. To produce a DO chick today, I will tell you an industrial circuit. We have all said we want to be open. The minimum you spend to produce an hatching egg today, an broiler hatching egg, hatchable broiler egg today, is about 135 to 150 naira, depending on the operation. Delivery in the market, actually, around 200, it is not a bad thing. You say, okay, maybe price of chicken is over 200. But let me tell you this question. How can we enforce price of DO chicks to be 200 for every farmer? Who has an idea? How can we enforce? If we are sitting down, we don't come for meetings, we are not registered, we don't pay associations, we cannot lobby, there is no advocacy, and we are not that united. I'll give you a very, very great scenario. Sitting down in this room is a person that can bear me witness because he's the secretary to that association. I was privy to that information because I was part of the setup. He was part of the setup. Yeah. About 3 years ago, out of the will, 13 companies came together. Mr. Dr. Bodiarito will have an idea of what I'm talking about. Dikin Turumadi also knows about this. 13 companies and said there is recession in Nigeria. People are not eating eggs. They are not eating chicken. Imports are not good. What can we do? The 13 company came together simply because of one fact. They tried to lobby PAN, and PAN said they don't have money. Members are claiming they cannot sell, and no way they can generate funds. Okay, you 13 stakeholders, even if the industry is dying, you also want to die with the industry, because if these people don't come back, you cannot survive. To cut the long story short, some of the companies that of what I'm talking about, 3 feed mill companies were part of it. And to create a media campaign, to lobby NAFDAC, to lobby people in the stakeholders that could help the industry to grow, it was levied that companies should pay roughly, I think, about 5 million naira, if I'm right, per quarter, just to see what can be done. Believe you, of bit by bit, everybody started wrong. 5 companies tried to drive this for about 6 months, meetings and stuff like that. He's not here today. The group MD of HAMO was also an anchor to that program. He was contributing personally from his pockets. I remember very well then. He was running up and down to meet the DGs of NAFDAC, all this, and make things and so whatever. But let me tell you, if the love is not there to drive the industry, all these people, many times I see it, they do it simply because they felt they hold in. You are sitting now, right now, that also contributed to this one way or the other to help. But let me tell you, going forward, if you are going to take a bigger step forward and solve all these problems, we have to come to that consensus. We need to organize our markets ourselves. Pricing. Somebody said, how can we control pricing? How can we control pricing if there is no common ground for us to meet and be united to speak with one voice? It still comes back to that. But I stand this afternoon because I know there are lots of people who are so very unhappy with hatchery operators. So I will not take a very hard position on certain things. Me, speaking for myself, I know it is ethical to expect someone to buy cheese for 500 naira and expect that person to come back and buy another one, because it's not your business. So obviously there are things that we need to do to a position on how to sort this out. But because of the freedom, you have body has different costs for running his or her own business. Obviously, you cannot say, I have to force you to buy at this rate or sell at this rate, and produce at cost because the costs are different. Mr. Chairman, last words. My people in Ondo State, when you see a gap, it tells you there is a market opportunity. If there is no hatchery in Ondo State, why can't you start one? If you are waiting for nice people in the industry to supply you or to go and come and start an hatchery, everything depends on, is it profitable for farm support, CHI or HAMO to come to your location and start an hatchery? They will look at issues like this. But you can sign strategic partnership agreement with those who have the means of doing this. At CHI, we are willing to listen to you if you want to partner with us for Ondo State. But you must not just be a partner by mouth alone. You must bring something to the table. We are willing to exploit the opportunity in that industry. The person who is investing must see value coming into this.
Most of us, even big farmers from my experience, you know, the madam said, anybody, they are just coming into the industry. Until when people that know what they are doing are in the industry, that is when you can regulate anything. Somebody that don't know what it entails to produce one egg, but just get billions of naira from somewhere and just pump it there, put somebody there, they sell anything anyhow. And at the same time too, in the developed country where farmers are king, they do things in the normal way. If it is feed, they use better feed. They have quality staff. But here that you have, maybe you get your money from anywhere, and you just pump it there, that person will sell anything. So there should be a regulation. If there is a regulation that, for example, now you can't just say you want to establish a clinic, hospital, without a qualified medical doctor, laboratory technicians, and all the rest. So in that case, you cannot say, and you know that one is regulated, though we still have some issue. That some people will say, okay, pay 500, they will treat you. But you know the effect. But it is more in our industry, where we have a lot of quack. I was in the north about two weeks ago. If you see the debeaking, I have to call Dr. Wajeti that what is happening in the north. They were telling us that the birds are not consuming. How do you expect a beak like this to consume? Not at all. And at the end of the day, the birds are not consuming, and the birds are producing maybe 50%, and the farmer has lost a lot of money. For him not to lose totally, anybody can just come, okay, madam, and the person will just say, okay, please, at least let me get something. Until when this system is regulated. For example, some people have been saying egg powder machine. The quality of your egg, can the quality meet the international standard? No. So we have a lot to do, and I'm very sure God will help us.
Doctor, please. Before I call Dr. Wageti to give his own remarks, one thing I like us to take is one. Don't say we are. Everybody, please, if you can do this. I am Pan. I am Pan. I am Pan. I am Pan. And can you spell this word with me? V-A-L-U-E. V-A-L-U-E. Money is a store of value. Every one of us respond to the value that we see in the product. Whenever you are selling eggs at 800, for example, there's somebody that is selling at 600. When you are having a lot of demand, that person is still struggling to sell his or her eggs. Whenever you are selling day oats at a particular price, somebody is selling below your price, and is struggling to sell, meanwhile you are selling at a higher price. Let us begin to think about the value that we can add. A lot of the times we engage ourselves in, apologies, needless conversations about price. We think that price is generic, price is the same. An egg is not an egg. Let whoever is pricing your egg at a particular price know that an egg is not an egg. Like I said, let us find solutions within this room. See, we are responding to value. If somebody calls day old chicks for you at 420, there is an option. I don't want to buy. But why do you buy? Because there is a value. Even though you might feel that it's overpriced, is this and that. Like my Oga said, we will struggle, we will do this. It's the same thing. Every product, we were buying maize. I mentioned it in the opening remarks. We are buying maize at 80-something naira. We are buying at 115 naira now, 120 naira. Soya, when I joined the industry, soya was less than 10 naira. Nobody was even using soya. But right now, they will sell soya to us at a particular price. If you want to knock our heads against the wall on prices, ama original, ama about ni soya ja, ama about lagado ja, ama about ni premix ja, ama about ele ja, and all of that. But we'll be wasting a lot of time. We'll be wasting a lot of time doing that. Let us begin to think. This that is in my hand, how do I add value to it? What is the value I am getting from what I am getting? A lot of us are using cheap feed, as it were, thinking that it's cheap, but we are paying through our noses because we are using those cheap feed. Because we are looking at it and say, how can they sell this feed at 2,000 and they're selling this one at 1,500? That person is ripping me off. But you find out at the end of the day, that is why you are not able to keep your eggs for 1 week. Value. So if we don't take anything away from here today, I want us to take it home. I am Pan. I have as much stake in this business. Okay. My guy is saying we should take another round of questions more, but I am looking at the time and I see it's already 10 minutes past 5. So, and you know the way in this our dispensation now, let us take a voice vote and see how many of us want this meeting to end in the next 10 minutes. Can I see your hands up? 10 minutes. How many of us want it to end in another 45 minutes? Can I see your hand up? So let's begin to time. This is 12 minutes past 5. We'll end latest by 5:30. Is that okay? 5:30. So wherever we get to, if your question is not addressed, your concern is not addressed, we are going to close by 5:30. That is what all of us want, right? Thank you very much. So I said, think value. Tell yourself I am Pan. If not, we are not going to be able to make much progress. Dr. Wageti, you have 3 minutes maximum. 3 minutes, I am checking. 3 minutes maximum.
Great farmer, please, I want us to understand that the business we are doing is biological industry. Hello? It's a biological industry. It's a living industry. Okay.
I have to do this. Dr. Odusi, can you please come? Sorry. Doctor, you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much. With the effort that we made with the Ogun State government, and well, thank God for yesterday that we have the caliber of people that attended the show. And one of the people that has signified that she will be around even yesterday, but because of assignment that took her to Abuja and she had to fly in today, is a consultant to Ogun State government on agriculture. She's Dr. Mrs. Angel Adelaja Kwe. She will just greet us. Please just greet us.
Thank you so much. I feel at home because I'm also a poultry farmer. So in all the things that you're saying, I understand your needs, your pain points, and I also understand that the industry will only be driven forward by the market and by the private sector. And so government needs to be able to make the private sector have an enabling environment to do what it needs to do. Of course, I'm sure yesterday, Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor, discussed some of the things that His Excellency has for farmers in Ogun State. But just as a poultry farmer as well as on one foot and representing government on another foot, there are just a few things I would like to say, which is that some of the things that were touched on today, quite important. For Ogun State, we want to focus on data because the only way that we can market the state and market the farmers in the state, the processors in the state, is through accurate data. Till now, nobody can actually say, and it's unfortunate, the number of farmers that we have in the state to a T. It doesn't make sense. Because when an investor wants to come into the state and find out where we've gotten a lot of people who say they want to set up egg powder facilities. But when they look at the cost of production for eggs, and they look at the cost of importing egg powder from other countries, it's easier for a confectionery company to import that egg powder than it is to be able to pay a company that produces that egg powder in Ogun State. We need to change that. So what we want to do is we want to start from the beginning, but we want to do it in tandem. So yes, we need to make sure that in our own capacity as producers, there's efficiency. So efficiency in the cost of feeds, which means we have to go backwards to the primary producers. So not just soybean and maize, which we're trying to work on through the Anchor Borrowers program. So we ask for those who are in the feed industry to partner with us for the Anchor Borrowers program to ensure that you have raw materials for feed production. But research and development, we want to make sure that in the state our academic institutions, our private sector, and those who do R&D in the private sector as well. Sometimes we tend to leave research and development academic institutions, but we don't realize that there's actually money to be made by ensuring that R&D is done with private sector partners as well. What are alternative protein sources? Whether it's maggot farming or whether it's through seaweed, including seaweed or other things that we can utilize to help make the production of our feeds more efficient, right? How do we partner to make sure that those things are being done? Ogun State wants to help in championing those activities. In addition to that, regulation. You cannot do anything without policy. And one thing, if government cannot give you anything, they can give you policy. So it is the role as private sector, from my hat as a poultry farmer, to say we need to drive policy. We need to leverage on the fact that we have people who have us in mind now to be able to drive policies that make it efficient for us to operate. So whether it's in zoning, where you're setting up your poultry facilities in areas that were not urbanized before, and now when they now bring in urbanization, it means that people are now complaining about you who had been the original person to come to that area. They're now saying, you're disturbing me with your waste products. We need to be able to look at how we can develop zoning so that poultry activities in the livestock space in general, can be protected in certain areas. I think we also need to start looking at the productivity. Yes, there's an importance of value, but there's also value for money. So there are ways that we can justify spending this amount on a product, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is what matters. And at the end of the day, your business is driven by how much, not just revenue, but how much profits you can make. So we understand that. So we want to make sure that we can do the things that need to be done to make it efficient. How do we ensure that your logistics are done efficiently? What roads can we do? So if we aggregate ourselves and I say ourselves, but please understand that I'm talking with both hats. If we're able to aggregate ourselves and say, this is our corridor, this is the place where we're all working from, where the feed millers are, where the poultry farmers are, and we need roads to that space. It's easier for us to provide roads to clusters than for us to provide a road here, a road here, a road there, because at the end of the day, we're still looking at making sure that we get the most for our money, meaning that 20 roads may not be what we can do, but if we can do one major road where it helps, let's say, 50% or 60% of those in the sector, then it makes sense. So let's see how we can coordinate ourselves. And when we can coordinate ourselves, then we're able to then drive the policy. Because the truth of the matter is that we have the funds. We have the funds to make an impact. If we didn't have the funds to make an impact, then nobody would be looking, well, for example, for Ogun State. I don't know about the other poultry farmers, but for Ogun State farmers, we're very well known for poultry. So, and I think Oyo State also, but Ogun State. So it's very, very important.
Ogun State is the poultry basket of Nigeria.
Exactly, exactly. So one thing that I just urge is let us work together, let us organize. The government is here to help to make sure that in this next 4 years, and hopefully in the next 8 years, we're able to see poultry. Yeah, that's my political hat. We're able to see poultry sector driven in Ogun State and in Nigeria as a whole. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Wagete, can you please come?
Thank you. Like I was saying before, we farmers have to understand that, sir. No. We have to understand that the business we are doing is a biological industry. It's a living industry. But most farmers, like selling cement or selling plank, I've agreed with some of my participants. I think the only solution is regulation. With regulation. Without regulation, nothing will happen. Nothing. Okay, sorry. The only way out is for us to come for meeting and come together. That's the only way out.
See, when people tell me there is only one way out, I say no, there is no one way out. There are many ways out. There might be the best way out, but there are many ways out. See, I don't want us to see, because most of the time we are too focused on what the challenges are. So because of that, it beclouds the way that we can see things from different perspectives. There are a lot of perspectives to issues. I don't want to begin to join issues and all of that. But I believe that, see, by the time we say the solution is regulation, for example, what happens to other areas? No, doctor, please don't come. Please don't come. So we'll take 2 more questions. But like I said, what I'm doing, I'm not challenging what he's saying, because most of the time it appears as if there is a challenge. I'm not challenging what he's saying. I'm only saying we should think very broadly in everything that we prefer. Thank you. 2 questions only. Okay, I'll take it.
Great farmers, my name is Arule Ba Sheson. That's from Complete Nutrients International Limited. My question is more or less like a question, and also with what is happening in most of our farms that has to do with additives generally. Sometimes most of the vet doctors that we are having, maybe that are consulting for farms, do cause problems in farm at times. Because once there is a problem in any farm, the first vet doctor will tell you, check your additive. This has caused problems to farmers. We've seen situations in which they've accused additives, and by the time they go for test, it wasn't additives at all. And it has caused a lot of problem. Therefore, I think there are supposed to be a kind of regulation between the vet doctors, because vet doctors are not nutritionists. And when they come to farm, they just give a kind of counsel to farmers, and there are problems in farm. And farmer begins to do a lot of tests. Sometimes you put this additive aside and you buy another one. After that, you later realize that it is not that additives, is another problem in the farm. Therefore, I think all these things have to be looked into, so that there will not be question between the producers of additives, the farmer, and the farmer also will not be spending extra costs for what is not even, what is not so. I think there's a need for them to work on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mukhtar Umar from Sokoto State. I initially thought it is not we farmers that will start complaining. I thought it should be the end customer that will consume our product that will complain. That will complain. Because what I believe is that it is our management. When we were complaining, when the CHI person was talking, he was making reference to the price when the chicks was around 400. I want to emphasize that the problem it's that we should look into the possibility of reducing the cost of producing our product. I think that's the way I would. When the chicks were sold at the rate of 450, that is the best time I made a profit. That's the best time I made a profit. So I think this is the problem. The problem is coming from our management. That's number one. Number two, and the final one is about the pan. When we are making reference to the pan, I think particularly in the north, the pan is not functioning. I don't know what is happening. The chairman should do something about it, because in Sokoto in particular, the people that are leading the pan, most of them are not even poultry farmers. We have those problems, and anything that has to do with poultry farmers, when pan is involved, they will just try to take advantage of farmers and benefit from the program. Thank you very much.
So, a lady.
Great farmers. I'm Elizabeth by name. I want to say some observation that I was able to experience. I was once a sales officer in one of these big farms. So I want to say about pricing. There was a particular time we agreed on selling it on so amount. Within just few hours, I just received a call through the intercom that the price now is so amount, so that I should increase the price. So no problem. But now I was now saying, okay, what was the reason? Later I got to know that the reason behind the shoot up of the increase in the price was that they got from a particular farm, 2 farms, that they are also selling their DOC at so price. So they too, they increase their price to that amount. Same on other products. Because they produce their feeds too. I won't mention the name of the farm. They produce their feed. They have premix. They sell premix. They sell vaccines. They sell all these vitamins and everything. And they sell so everything. Yet they will just sit down and call a particular company. How much is the price for so this? And they will now increase it for no reason. Not because marriage vaccine was increased. No, the same price of marriage vaccine is still the same price. Yet because so farm is selling us, they will just increase it. I don't know if you can look into it. Yes,
Thank you very much, ma. Lastly, it is the PAN vice chairman and zonal chairman that will round up this meeting. But I will say it again and again and again. The DOC broiler as of Monday was selling for 170, 180. Most of the time, we focus on when it is 400 as if that is the price that is prevailing all year round. 2016, go to Oluyole in Ibadan. You will see many hatcheries that folded up in 2016, 2017. If they were making, I'm not speaking for any hatchery, if they were making supernormal profits, why did they close down? Some of them are not open till today. They are not open till today. And if you see, the investment on an hatchery would not be less than 60 to 100 million. And those people now are out of business. The same way, somebody comes today and say, why are you selling the same thing? Somebody comes and say, why are you selling eggs now at 870 naira? And I was telling some people that I might get 1,000 naira. And the farmer, the person that is going to buy from you, because right now it is the farmer that is talking about the hatchery. The person that is buying eggs from you will tell you, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I was buying this egg for 600 naira. What has happened? Is it the price of vaccine that increased? Is it the price of water that increased? Why are you increasing the price of eggs? When the farmers were burying eggs, they were not able to sell. People are owing them a lot of money. Now they are able to sell at 870. I expect the same thing from our consumers to come and meet us now and say we must lower our price to 600. How many of us are ready to lower our price to 600 or 500? Is it that have your cost of vaccine increased? Have your cost of vaccine increased? Have the cost of water increased? See, I wanted to gloss, I wanted to paper over some of these things, but I felt I would be doing injustice. That's why I just mentioned that we should talk about value, because I wanted to gloss over. I didn't want to go into the details of it. we buried more than 35,000 trays of eggs in farm support. More than 35,000 trays of eggs. And yet, if somebody comes today now and say, why am I selling eggs at 870? I will ask the person, go and calculate how much is the price of 35,000. When we reduce we even reduce the price to as low as 600. After reducing to about 600, 500 and something, we still destroyed more than 35,000 trays of eggs. So I expect the same thing now from the egg person. The same way you're asking the hatcheries why they should be increasing their prices anyhow. The farmers, the consumers that are buying eggs from you should come and ask you, why are you increasing your price of egg anyhow? Have you increased the price of Marex vaccines? Or is it the price of Gobro vaccines that has come up? Let us begin. See, as long as we do this blame game, the enemy next door, we are going nowhere. That is the truth. The solution is, let us add value to whatever is in our hands. If we all agree and say, okay, broilers, 200 naira all year round. I know what he's talking about. They come and say, okay, we want to buy broilers all year round, 200 naira. When it falls to 150 naira, they will say, we don't have space in our farm to put the broilers now. That's what they will tell you. We don't have space to put broilers now. They'll wait until the price comes to the 200 naira that you have agreed before they are buying broilers from you again. So when it now goes to 230 and you say, you come and pay 230, say, why are you selling to me at 230 now? Maybe we agreed on 200 naira. See, let us work together. Let us work. See, it has happened. You can say this, but I can tell you, they were in my office. Some people came to my office. We sat down. Most of the time, this discussion happens when the price of broiler is at 300. It doesn't happen when the price of broiler is at 120. Nobody is coming to discuss price of broiler with you when it's at 120 and say, I want to pay 200 naira. Go and see. I've spent 33 years in this industry. I have a very good idea of what operates. I worked in CHI, I worked with Tunes, I worked with Obasanjo Farms. I have very fair idea of what operates. All my life has been spent in this industry. I owe it as a service to this industry. That's why I'm doing this. I'm supposed to have left. But it is a service to this industry to see the industry that has taken us from where we were to where we are today. And I know that the industry has a very bright future if we stop talking about what the challenges are and begin to look at what the solutions are. We look at the challenges in the light of the solution that we want to prefer to it, rather than looking at the challenges as what is militating us from going forward. Thank you very much. My Oga, you can round up.
Well, thank you. Maybe just for 1 minute, let us hear from Oyo Pan Chairman. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I think it's a very good interactive section. I want to appreciate the organizer of this particular season. It has been so wonderful. But as we have been told and been charged and have been advised, I want us to please stop this blaming game. And precisely in our different locality and at the same our different zones and states, please, I want us to join PAN. So please, just make sure you join PAN. What we used to notice and observe is that when there is problem in the industry, people remember PAN. I wonder why they remember PAN. What are PAN people doing? What are this one doing? That has been the chorus. I used to be surprised. But when things are booming, when things are okay, they don't remember PAN. Even when you tell them to come to the meeting, they will not come. But please, I want us to encourage one another and even preach it as a gospel to the next person near to you, even a farmer, your neighbor, to please join PAN. Some of them will say, what are they doing? Will they give us money? There is a lot of advantage. Please, that is just my advice. Thank you.
Finally, tomorrow, we are going to also hold a small meeting together. So we are still going to call upon you, and we have a lot of presentation that will still happen. Like Dr. Akinolu said, share knowledge. We are also dealing with life, so we need a lot of information. This is a technology age now. We need technology to drive our businesses. So if you are doing very well in your farm and you share with the other farmer, it doesn't take that knowledge away. In fact, if you don't share that knowledge and there's a mistake in that farm, it's coming to your farm. So let us be our brother's keeper. Good night and safe journey to your different destination and hotel. Try and eat good food, good water, catch fun, visit nice places in Abeokuta. Good night.